But I think the development of full artificial intelligence would spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
I don't know if it was a rocket or whatever, but it could be fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
So you said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please, please help!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. And hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What's up, guys? This is one of the days we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. What are the things we're not allowed to talk about? You know what they are. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. This show is live. This show has always been live. This show will always be live, except for some one-off videos here or there. Maybe some one-off podcasts coming on the way. Maybe some additional content coming. But this particular show, Troubled Minds, has always been live. And we do it because, of course, the whole point is to crowdsource an idea, is to crowdsource knowledge based on you, based on me, based on a larger conversation that doesn't have to be stuck stuck in the textbooks of history, right? Of course, as we know, the textbooks of history are fantastic and they're fine, and there's, probably, well, not much wrong with them, let's say, only so we don't piss everybody off as we begin. But a little bit weird. Anyway, I digress a little bit there, but point being is there's a lot of things that happen outside the official story, right? And of course, the history textbooks are the official story, and there's a ton of things that, a ton of conversations that happen outside of academia, so to speak, and those things are really in our wheelhouse. Now, one of those, we're going to talk about them tonight, but before we do that, my point of bringing that up is that it kind of doesn't really matter, does it, anymore, what the truth is? There's no truth here. This show is not about the truth. This show is not, again, there's no agenda here other than let's get a lot of people together and crowdsource an idea and share our thoughts on some of these things. Do you think they're fake? Do you think they're not? It's just a larger conversation based on all the things out there that people believe. And that's okay. Again, I'm a believer in that we have the right to be wrong. as part of the First Amendment, as part of free speech, as part of adopting or having your own religion. Like these things, like if you ask science, science says they're wrong. Well, guess what? I think science is wrong a lot of times too. And so as usual, it just kind of beckons to a larger conversation. And that's what we do here. So point being, and through that long ramble, well, it is a talk show, so I think you'll forgive my rambles here or there. But we're live. That's my whole point here, is that we've always done this to include you, because as much as I dig in and try and learn about the science aspects and the esoteric aspects and all the things in between, I have learned a lot, but I've learned more from you. And so this is a two-way conversation if you want to be part of the show tonight. We are streaming on Facebook, DLive, YouTube, and Periscope. And we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. Shout out to Joe Roop for being kind enough to allow us on the station and being part of a larger family here. It's been fantastic. Met a lot of great people. So if you want to be part of the show tonight, it's really easy. We have a phone number up, and 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037, and you can get right on the show, watching the phone lines and also watching the Discord. If you want to go be on the show with Discord, which is a free chat and voice client, go to troubledminds.org. That's the official website. Click on the Discord link. It's right on top. You can't miss it. The phone number is also right on top. So if everything, it's a one-stop shop for all things Troubled Minds. The podcast is there. Everything is there. And go check it out. All the links are working again. I fixed everything and still working on revamping it. So, more coming on the way. But troubledminds.org. And also, please join the other Discord. We have another one running with the Fringe FM. Go to thefringe.fm/chat. It will give you a direct invite, and come say hi. Come meet all the fantastic people in both Discords. All right, so tonight, earlier we were doing a news show. I do a news show as well, and we were talking about maybe some ideas this week of some things to talk about. And I've had a couple things on my mind, and this one is what it is. We're going to do this tonight, which is, of course, the Akashic record. If you're paying attention and you're reading the actual pre-broadcast show notes, I'm trying to put them up beforehand now, and if you're on top of that game, you know exactly what I'm going to talk about. But if you don't, I've been thinking about the Akashic records lately, and not just that. With it actually is relevant to the news. So I did notice. Now here's the thing. I did notice that there's a lot of people. Let's pull up this article, and I'll show you as some actual proof of concept here. All right, now this is pretty interesting. I thought that as the COVID lockdowns have happened, a lot of things have changed. Right, people have been working remotely. Some people have been laid off. Like there's a whole bunch of changes, which I'm not going to get super into right now, because of course, well, that's just another show entirely. But as things have changed, so has the way people are making money, right? And so, there's a lot more room for maybe something like this. I think, I hate to say it, but I think COVID has probably had a positive effect on this show in particular and its reach, because more people are searching for things like this with the UFO report and, more time in lockdown and kind of tired of the same old TV shows. So, I hate to say it, but I think we're also a benefactor of that in particular. People spending more time at home and looking for entertainment without going out, things like this. But in any case, I was looking at some other ways that people are making money. And of course, it's not just YouTube. It's not just, right, there's 1,000 ways. There's Instagram. There's influencers everywhere, right? I guess that's what we're called now. So I call this a radio show. That's what I call this, right? I call this a conversation. I call it maybe a YouTube video, right? I mean, a live stream. But there's, again, like everything, they have to brand everything. They have to name everything. And now I guess I would be an influencer, right? I hate the term. I think it's ugly, but whatever. You can't, I've been called worse, let's say. Right, I've been called much worse than that. So whatever. Point being is that a lot of these, quote, influencers are making a lot more money now online because just of the way things have shifted. A lot of the money has kind of come out of the movie business. Everybody's been live streaming, of course, Netflix and things like this. But people aren't going to Hollywood movies as much anymore. I mean, as far as the COVID shut down a lot of the the actual movies movie chains. Like a lot of those guys went out of business. So we have this weird dynamic where we have this huge industry to fill of entertainment, right? I mean, that's what Hollywood was and still tries to be, entertainment. And so for some reason, I mean, TikTok has taken off. It's gone nuts. TikTok is going crazy. Everybody's trying to compete with TikTok with the you'll see. I'm going to get to the Akashic records in a minute here. Everybody relax. Everybody relax. I'm going to bring this back around, I promise. I'm not a rookie here. Okay, so anyway, point being, TikTok, influencers, this whole thing, right? They're blowing up. And everybody's trying to compete with TikTok, with Facebook is, YouTube is, with YouTube Shorts, Facebook and Instagram Stories, I think they're called, Instagram something or other. I don't know. Anyway, in any case, like all this stuff is happening because people are realizing a lot of the money is moving out of Hollywood because of this the old school way of gathering and watching movies together, right? So, all right. So I was kind of looking through some of the news, as I do. As you guys know, I watch the news cycle very closely as basically part of this entire thing, to try and maybe get a better idea of what's really going on out there. And I noticed this. This is an article from theday.com, and I'll link it. As always, you guys know me, good, bad, or indifferent, I will link my sources. And if you think the source is hogwash, that's fine with me. This is what people are saying, and this is what people are talking about. So I will link it, and you guys can, take it as for whatever you value it. So here we go. Oh, I did link that already. I linked that already. I think we're good there. Okay. So this is the article that started me out with this. I was like, all right, the psychics of TikTok, Cameo, and Clubhouse are seeing and making fortunes. All right. So here we go. Notably, let's just read the top of this. For $15 plus a 75-cent processing fee, Hannah McIntyre is telling me my destiny. Quote, what I'm seeing here with you is this hitting a wall and needing to push through, needing to step up, McIntyre says as she looks over the 3 tarot cards she's drawn from her deck, the Page of Fire, Ace of Air, and Emperor. Quote, there's also this information coming in here with these cards about exciting opportunities. So I again want to talk to you about being brave and volunteering for them. McIntyre, you see, is a spirit worker, a clairvoyant medium to be exact, and does her tarot readings out of a modern, cozy home office. Behind her rests a shelf of tasteful crystal orbs. A whimsical spiral staircase snakes its way through one corner of the room, bathed in a warm purple glow. All right, so point being, right, this kind of got me thinking. This is what actually got me thinking and considering the show about the Akashic record. Is we have these, clairvoyants. What are they called? A clairvoyant medium, to be exact, right there in the article. And where does this information come from? All right, so a couple questions tonight. Number one, do you believe this clairvoyant medium stuff, right? Clearly, like everything out there, kind of like a plumber or a garbage man or anything else, there's probably going to be good ones and bad ones, right? Or lawyers, let's say. Whatever it happens, let's say talk show hosts, right? There's going to be good ones, there's going to be bad ones. And I don't know. I'm not sure what to make of this because I've seen some interesting things that make me scratch my head about this type of thing, and I've also seen some other things that may be compelling enough to consider this is all true, right? So I think that's the question here. What do you believe about this? First, do you think it's real or not? And then second, if this is real, where does this information come from? People that are clairvoyants that can kind of be able to give you a reading of such or a whatever it happens to be, right? Do you think that there's something more to this, meaning that it's not just like the random shuffling of the deck of cards and you pull some cards out and that's that. It's there you go. Well, again, I'm extremely ignorant with the way these things work. So don't take my word for any of this stuff as how this is how it's supposed to work. I don't know. Point being, though, right? So it's not just clearly like shuffling some cards and the universe makes the cards land a certain way, and then it's the interpretation, isn't it? It's the interpretation of whoever's shuffling the deck. You see what I'm saying? So whatever those cards come, they mean something in particular. Each card means something in particular, and the combination of such, those 2 or 3 or whatever cards happen, mean something together. All right. But the interpretation of what that is down to whoever's doing the deck, right? Whoever's shuffling, whoever's doing the deal. So point being, I'm not trying to crap on this in any way. I don't understand the way it works. And so I'm asking the question to you. If this works, what's causing the knowledge, this cosmic knowledge or whatever it happens to be? And of course, I think the most obvious linear answer to that, to me, from what I've heard of, again, like I said, being ignorant in these things, so you'll have to forgive me, but is something that's known as the Akashic Records. All right. Now, the Akashic Records, of course, is it's a universal knowledge bank, all right, for lack of a better term, of basically everything from the beginning of time to the end of time. And in some cases, right, if we look at cosmology and some of the, the astronomy and some of the things that they've described as the universe expanding and then possibly contracting and then expanding again, then maybe time repeats itself. And as a result, everything in some way is predetermined or not. Right? It depends on who you ask. It depends on whether you're looking into a particular cosmological philosophy, let's say. So I don't know. Like I said, this is what kind of caught my mind about this in particular. No, I'm not mad at these people making money or succeeding or doing tarot on the internet. I don't care. Like that's good stuff. That's all fine and well. I'm not mad about that. I'm not. So don't get me wrong. It basically just got me thinking about where this cosmic information comes from. All right. And so if as people have described, time is a flat circle, right? Things like this. People have described the multiverse. People have described time existing in all its forms from the beginning to the end simultaneously, right? Kind of an Einstein concept. These things are exactly what I'm talking about tonight. And which part of this do you believe? Do you believe there is an actual maybe data bank or knowledge base, I guess, is probably a better way to put it, like a universal knowledge base that always exists? It's always out there, right? Do you believe in this stuff? And if so, or if not, that's cool. We're going to look at some of the things that people say about this and also what some of the science may say about this, which is, again, fascinating to me. It's kind of larger questions about the universe. And that's really what the great conversation is about, which is what we try and do on this show. So as we go tonight, like I said, this show is live. D-Live, Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope, and also on the Fringe FM, broadcasting live there. And I just want to put the phone number up one more time. So looking to hear from you tonight. As always, this is a two-way conversation. I don't start this to talk to myself. I start this to talk to you. So if you're out there and you have a take, or you can tell me what you think the Akashic Record is, whether you believe it's real or not. What about the fortune teller stuff? That's all fine. Like I said, I'm okay with that. 702-957-1037, troubledminds.org. Get your ass in here. Let's talk about all the weirdness. All right, so as I'm looking at this, right, I'm like, okay, so that's cool. The TikTokers are doing their thing, and it's all good. But then it got me thinking, all right, so what exactly is the Akashic Records? And is this where all that information is coming from? The tarot to the fortune tellers to clairvoyance to Nostradamus, I don't know, whoever you want to label this from. Do you think that there's the ability for this knowledge to kind of come through? Meaning, can mere mortals access this Akashic Record? That's my other question tonight. What do you guys think? So here we go. This is from it's a good place to start. Wikipedia, as usual. Go to the Ministry of Truth and find out what you're allowed to say, right? Because that's how they do it. In Theosophy, the Akashic Records are a compendium of all universal events, thoughts, words, emotions, and intent ever to have occurred in the past, present, or future in terms of all entities and life forms, not just human. They are believed by theosophists to be encoded in a non-physical plane of existence known as the mental plane. There are anecdotal accounts, but there is no scientific evidence for the existence of the Akashic Records. Straight from Wikipedia, all right? So as usual, as you would expect, coming out of the gate hard, Wikipedia craps on it in the first paragraph, all right? As you would expect. Like I wouldn't expect anything different here. I'm not going to expect a WikiHow on how to access the Akashic Records right there on Wikipedia, all right? But so notably, that's a pretty Pretty fantastic definition, don't you think? I'll read it one more time. In Theosophy, the Akashic Records are a compendium of all universal events, thoughts, words, emotions, and intent ever to have occurred in the past, present, or future in terms of all entities and life forms, not just human. They are believed by Theosophists to be encoded in a non-physical plane of existence known as the mental plane. All right, so I mean, that's a good way to start this, right? So that's what the Akashic Record is in general terms, all right? I'm going to link this in case you're interested. Like I said, there's probably much better places to learn about the Akashic Records than Wikipedia, but that's where we'll start, just as a way to kind of kick the conversation out and think about this type of stuff. Think about the weirdness of the universe and the rest of this. So let's see what's going on in the chat. What's up, guys? I see you out there. Thanks for hanging out with us. All right, so that's what's on my mind tonight. And like I said, I'd love to hear from you. Do you believe this stuff exists? How do you feel about fortune tellers in general? We could even include like spirit or psychic mediums, people like this that contact maybe the spirit realm and this other stuff. Because of course, in some manner or capacity, they're accessing the Akashic Record, whether it's through themselves, through some sort of channeling effect, or whether they're maybe contacting an entity, right, that's accessing the Akashic Record on their behalf, right? Which is a whole other show in itself. But again, I'm open to all that and all those thoughts. But what do you guys think? I think that's the bottom line here is, I'm on this microphone quite a lot. You guys know what I think about most things. And that's that I don't know, to be perfectly honest. I just don't know. I may lean this way or that way regarding certain things. But for the most part, I just don't know. I really don't know what to think. And this, of course, so the Akashic, so looking to hear from you one more time, 702-957-1037. We got a break coming up in about 4 minutes. And then after that, I'd love to hear your guys' takes on the Akashic Record and the rest of this. So I'll get started on where this began, or where some of this began anyway. What made it more famous in recent days. How about that? Let's start with this individual. There's a famous medium, right, named Edgar Casey. Edgar Casey. You guys have probably heard of this dude. I'm putting him, linking it in the chat if you guys haven't heard of this. But Edgar Casey is supposedly one of the guys that was accessing the Akashic Record, and maybe one of the guys that actually started maybe the conversation about this. So here we go. When asked about the source of his information, Edgar Casey replied that there were essentially two sources. The first was the subconscious mind of the individual for whom he was giving the reading, and the second was the Akashic Records. So he was able to tap into their subconscious state, and so I guess some of the answers that they were seeking were inside of them already, and he was able to tap into and access that. And then secondly, the Akashic Records. All right. Edgar Casey, again, is a whole nother show. We're not going to do a ton of time on this guy, but this is where a lot of this kind of dates back to. So he says this: the Akashic Records, also known as the Book of Life or God's Book of Remembrance, can be equated to the universe's supercomputer system, or perhaps what today would be called cloud computing. They are the central storehouse of all information for every individual who has ever lived upon the earth. These records contain our every thought, deed, word, feeling, and intent. They have a tremendous influence on our everyday lives, our relationships, our feelings, our belief systems, and the potential realities we draw toward us. Edgar Casey referred to the records this way, and this is a quote from Edgar Casey. Upon time and space is written the thoughts, the deeds, the activities of an entity, as in relationships to its environs, its hereditary influence, as directed, or judgment drawn by or according to what the entity's ideal is. Hence, it has been oft called the record is God's Book of Remembrance, and each entity, each soul, as the activities of a single day on an entity in the material world, either makes some good or bad or indifferent, depending on the entity's application of self. And that's straight from one of his readings, Edgar Casey. But that's what we're talking about tonight. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know the answers, but I'm hoping to hear from you. 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. We're talking about the Akashic Records. Give me a call, and we'll hear what you think. More discussion about this after the break. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Facebook, DLive, YouTube, and Periscope. We are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. We're taking your phone calls. Tonight, we are talking about the Akashic Records. Do you believe this is a real thing, or do you believe it's some sort of mystical hocus pocus that's been made up by whoever made this up? I don't know. I'm open to all the ideas and all the thoughts on this, as you know. I'm not trying to make you believe in this or that or the other thing, and you tell me. Let's get together, put our troubled minds together, and maybe come up to I don't know, maybe let's call it a loose consensus. How about that? And there we go. So we are taking your phone calls if you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. And if you think this stuff is real or you don't, or you're undecided and want to discuss it, that's perfect. That's what we're talking about tonight. So let's go to Robert in Pennsylvania. Let's do it. Robert, you are on Trouble Minds with Mike. How are you, my friend?
Fine, how are you?
I'm doing very well. What is on your mind tonight? What do you think about this this weird Akashic record stuff?
Well, when you're tying it to the tarot card readings, to the Akashic records, I have some history of that, and so that's why I'm calling. When I was in my late teens, all right, still in high school, I used to go to friends' parties and things like that. And one thing that somehow came across to me was women like to have their cards read. They like to have their fortune told. So I would carry a deck of tarot cards and a book that you opened up and it told you which each card was about. And I would do their tarot readings. It was a great way to get girls to pay attention to me.
Nice.
And they did.
I like your angle.
That was the intent. I never at that early stage took it seriously, but then something peculiar happened. I would open the book and there would be this generic description of what this card is and what it means, but I would go past that. All right, when I would put these cards together, like in the Celtic Cross, and start to read, something would come over me, and I would put it all together, and I was very blunt about what was up there. I wasn't vague at all what I saw. All right, a lot of times you'll see people, card readers say, "You've got good things going to happen," very soon. All right, well, that could mean anything. But I was specific, and the problem I had, that I'm looking at now, going back, was that I was right every time. All right, and one of the craziest things that occurred is I was at a friend's house, and there was a party going there, and I was doing this reading for this girl who I casually knew. She was a married woman. And I read her fortune, and I didn't say this to her because because I thought I really had crashed here. This could not possibly be, because I didn't even like her. But the card said that she was going to become my wife.
Uh-oh.
And a few years later, she did.
What? Really?
Right? absolutely. I swear on a stack of Bibles or whatever it is, but this really happened. And matter of fact, people used to come to my house often to have me read cards. I never charged for it. But anyway, the thing that got me to stop, this is what's important, is I'm sitting at a table in the kitchen with my wife and a couple friends, and I'm reading cards, and of course the wife wanted me to read hers. And so I read the cards, and it was awful stuff coming up in our lives. Awful stuff. And I was honest. I talked about the honest stuff. And every single thing happened over the next couple of years. And I thought to myself, I ain't going near those cards again because it got too personal.
Right. So, okay. So that actually begs a larger question here then. So do you think that the cards actually played a role in that? Or do you think that maybe it was sort of like a harbinger of doom that we manifest for ourselves because we're like kind of like a feeling of dread based on what a random shuffle might tell us? So do you think there's a difference there, or do you think this is like divine and from a universal source? Yeah, go ahead.
It's just a useful tool that, for me, I don't know about anybody else, but for me, got me to see the future.
Right.
Something, maybe it's from the Akashic records. Maybe I linked into that. All right. But it's maybe see the future, not the physical cards themselves or the book I was looking at. It was putting it all together and getting a message, kind of like that. Matter of fact, I'd be saying these things and not really knowing where it was coming from. Just that it all made sense. And sometimes it didn't seem to make sense, but later on it proved to be true. And I'm saying, I was never vague. I said it as it was, and I always warned anybody that was getting a reading, I'm going to tell you exactly what it says here, because otherwise it's not even fun. But yeah, I'm just saying it was just when that happened. I still have those cards, and I put them away, and they've been put away on the top of a bunch of books in my library for a couple of decades.
So you haven't touched those things in a long time. All right, so then let me ask you this. So do you think that if you hadn't maybe, like I said, shuffled and dealt those cards that day that were kind of the harbinger of the bad news, do you think that stuff would have happened? Do you think it's written in the stars anyway?
What you're putting out is it's kind of like a subliminal message. All right, that's not really a term for it, but I can't quite bring it clear what I'm thinking of. Where you put it out there, and it sticks in your brain, and all those things start to happen. Because, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, well, so now here's what I'm saying. So you put those cards away, you haven't looked at them in over 10 years. Now, do you think, like this, the point is this, do you think that our future is written in the stars anyway, and it doesn't matter if those cards are drawn? That's what I'm saying. So if you had drawn those cards or not, do you think those terrible things would have happened? And my point is, basically, you're kind of being able to tell the future with it. So you put them away because you don't want to know the future, or because you think that maybe the cards brought the bad future into your life? That's what I'm asking. Well, is there a difference between those two things?
I think you hit pay dirt there. I think that I put the cards away because I think that it wouldn't have happened if I hadn't read them.
Right. So maybe there's something negative to knowing or perceiving a possible future for ourselves. So it's kind of like a curse in a sense.
Sure.
Right?
It's very much like that. The curse of the Ouija board. People have used Ouija boards and found their lives go to hell and back after they touched the Ouija board.
Right.
Yeah, it's something like that. But or else it's just, You know, we are born into this life. There are things that are bound to happen. We're here for a purpose. We're here to struggle. Okay? Nothing's going to be easy. You're going to have good times, but you're going to have a lot of bad times too. And you may not know what those bad times are up ahead. And all these cards did was tell me what was going to be up ahead. All right? And maybe also by when I saw it starting to happen, when all these things started to happen, it helped me handle it better because I knew that this was happening and what to expect. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong, I was still startled by it that it was absolutely so accurate. You know, it's mystifying, and I can't tell you exactly how it works because I don't know it myself, but it does. I know that I've never been wrong when I read those cards.
Okay.
I tune into something.
Yeah, right. So there's something out there. Okay, so then regarding in particular the Akashic record, do you think that exists? Do you think it is like, as explained by science, the slices of time that exist from beginning to end in a simultaneous space? Do you believe that's the thing? What's going on with this Akashic record? If you have to make a guess here.
The Akashic Records has the history of it all. Past, present, and future. All right? That's what my understanding of it is. It doesn't define at all where your life's going to go. Because no matter what, you're still going to make decisions as a human being in a meat suit. You're going to make decisions that could turn something in a different direction, right? That's the old biblical thing about free will. But I think that all I really believe is that when we decide to incarnate, all right, it's because we're supposed to go through trial and error. It's all kind of like a video game, all right, except you're the sim. And you're going through all this stuff. And the bottom line for me is we're here to entertain one another. Entertain ourselves because can you imagine in the astral plane, all right, what's there to do there except float around or whatever? I mean, there's no troubled minds. There's no books. There's none, there's nothing to divert. So we're born here to find a way to entertain ourselves. Because it would be boring where we come from, don't you think?
Yeah. Well, okay. So the way I understand the astral plane is maybe I could chase flying dragons around, though. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe those things exist there. So that's exciting to me. There's things to do there, I think. Unless I've got a very poor perception of what that actually is. But I get what you're saying. So but it's a way that we can't really connect consciousness in the way we're doing now. And not
to plug my book, but I told you, about this story that I don't know if you've read it yet or not, called Creation. All right, that story pretty much is exactly what I believe. What the whole mystery of life and afterlife is all about. We go to school, in the afterlife. We actually go to school. There's schools there, all right? And we're taught how to do this and how to do this. We're prepared to be incarnated, all right? We pick our cast of characters. We pick our family. We pick our friends in advance. And these souls are born either at the same time or just shortly before or shortly after, all right? And then we have our own drama together, just like on television. We have our own drama, all right, until the storyline's done. And then when it's all over and you go, then you get graded. You get graded on how well you did. That's what I believe.
Okay. I'm with you. I like that. I like that theory. So then back to just...
You ever find yourself thinking I just said something, but I didn't think it before I said it.
All the time. All the time.
Okay. Well,
all the time.
That's because I think every time you go to sleep, you go back to where you came from. You're during that time, and there's no time there. Okay, so you're not really. It can seem like a long time and a short time, but it's really no time. But you're rehearsing your lines for the next day with the cast of characters that you're going to be dealing with that day, and that's why stuff can be said come out of your mouth, and without it really filtering through the brain first, because you're rehearsing your lines. We're all rehearsed. We're all actors on a stage, like Shakespeare said.
All the world is a stage.
All the world is a stage, and we are but players on it. All right, that's what we are, and that's our purpose here, is to act, is to live our lives, to try to overcome the hurdles that are placed before us, and then when we go back to where we came from, we go back to the school, and we get graded on it.
I like it. And then is it a cycle that repeats? We come back and do it again?
Oh, sure. Because you're it's like, let's say you're a first-time actor. All right, you go to school to learn how to act. You're not Richard Burton the first time. The more you do something, the better you get at doing that. Like you do Troubled Minds, and the more you've done it, the better you've gotten. It's like anything else. If you're a writer, the more you write, the more better your writer you'll become. And that's the same thing when it comes to incarnating. The more you do it, the better you are at handling things, in each and every existence. Although all these things supposedly happen at one time. All these lives at one time, from what I understand.
Right. Okay. I'm with you. So you do believe in the Akashic record that there is a universal source of knowledge. It's just that we seem to dip in and out of it as we kind of reincarnate. Is that kind of the theory in a nutshell?
I think the Akashic record is very much like the file that's in your school. All right, you have a file as you're going through 12 grades, and it's a record of your history there. In your doctor's office, you have a record there, right? It's a record of what you've done in all the different lives that you have incarnated into. It's a record of all that, all right? Except what's complex about it, what's confusing about it, is that it already has the record before you've done it.
Right. So that's actually...
It has the past, it has the present, and it has the future.
Exactly.
And that's something I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Okay, so that's where I'm headed with this. Now, what I wanted to ask you too then, so do you believe that everything is predetermined? Because, again, the universe, right, as they say, it expands, it contracts into the Big Bang again and expands again, and time repeats itself. Now, so do you think, is there that predetermination of everything, or is it ish and we still have sort of the free will within a framework? I think that becomes the larger question here. Are all things predetermined?
I think the only way it's predetermined is through that earlier thing I said about you're in a school, you pick your cast of characters that you're going to deal with in the next life, and you write the script. You rehearse your lines. You know where it's coming, where it's going to begin, and where it's going to end. Just like a story. All right? I think that is what is logged with the Akashic records, because once you make that decision, there's no changing it. Once you incarnate, you have to follow the script. I believe that.
Within a loose boundary. It's not exactly every moment written. We're still allowed to play out the drama, but the major points persist, right?
Sure, the major points, minor points. But here's a question for you.
Sure.
You think about this. There's supposed to be parallel universes, parallel Earths. So there's parallel Earths, and we exist on those parallel Earths. And let's say I'm Robert, all right, and I have a slightly different life on another Earth. in a slightly different life in another Earth, then the Akashic records, it's that, recording all those lives on all those Earths, because everyone will be different, at least slightly different, and some even incredibly different. Maybe you on another Earth are a big-time movie star, or maybe even a congressman. You see where I'm going?
Yeah.
If the Akashic records are going to keep accurate records, does that mean there has to be only one Earth and one life?
Yeah, well,
at that time.
Exactly. So that's the bigger question. So in a multiverse theory, the string theory, as it were, is the Akashic record, does it persist through universes? Or is it maybe just based on one universe alone? That would be a big hard drive, I'll tell you that, to keep all that information. If we're talking about
something for the rest of your listeners to buzz in on and give us their theory on.
Yeah, definitely.
I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd love to hear it because I don't have an answer to that.
Agreed, 100%. I don't have answers to anything. The value's in the conversation. You know how this goes. So yeah, all right. So
you have opinion, and they'll have opinions.
Yeah, of course.
Everything
of course.
I've told you is my opinion.
Of course.
All right, it's not my answers. So I would be interested to hear what other people have to say about all that stuff.
Okay, so we do have one caller behind you, but we're just about out of time. So hang tight. I think that's Jennifer behind you. So hang tight, Jennifer. We'll go to you just after the break here. But final thought while we got you on the phone, my friend. We gotta round this down for the top of the hour here.
My final thought is I don't really have a final thought, except you'll know if somebody's fooling you when it comes to a tarot reading, if they're legit or not. All right. They're going to come with an excuse that they can't be too specific because it's somehow a violation of the rules. All right, if you're going to pay a fortune teller to read the tarot cards, all right, you just demand accurate information of what that person's saying. All right, not some generalities. All right, if they're overly general, they're not worth your time. All right, there are good ones out there that really know how to lock into the Akashic records or whatever, and tell you the truth about in very great detail what's coming up. Insist on that.
Gotcha. Okay.
Don't waste your money on anybody else. I won't do that.
Fantastic.
Okay?
Fantastic. Perfect. I appreciate the call, man. Great stuff as always. And check out Robert's book, guys. Stories from a what is it? Fractured Mind? Help me with the title.
Stories from a Fractured Mind.
The Robert Collection. Check it out on Amazon. He doesn't call to plug his book. I just do because he's been a friend of the show for a long time. He sent me a book, and it's fantastic. So do check it out. Thank you for calling, Robert. I appreciate you listening and calling, and we'll talk to you soon.
Available on Amazon.
Available on Amazon. Have a great night, my brother. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, man. There you go. Simple as that. You guys want to be part of the show? Easy peasy. Dial this phone number, 702-957-1037. We've got Jennifer on deck. We're going to go to you just after the break here as we wind down the top of the hour. I didn't want to cut you short and give you just a minute, but here we go. 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. Let's play some bumper music and hang tight for a few more minutes here, and we'll get right to you, Jennifer. And otherwise, we're looking to hear from you guys tonight. What do you think about the Akashic record? What do you think about fortune telling? What do you think about all this stuff? Do you think it exists? Do you think it's real? Do you think it's hogwash? I'm open to all these interpretations. As you heard, great stuff from Robert there. Looking to hear great stuff from you. 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More conversation and Jennifer on the line after the break. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
All right. Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and this is a show where we talk about all the things you're not allowed to talk about. I'm going to cut those things short. We'll dispense with the pleasantries because we got a caller on the line. We are streaming on Facebook, YouTube, DLive, and Periscope. We're broadcasting live on the Fringe FM, and we're talking about the Akashic Records tonight. Do you believe this is a real thing? Do you believe it is not? Are you somewhere in between? It's up to you. I don't have an agenda here. I want to have a good conversation. That's what the agenda is. So let's kill this and let's go to the phone call. We're taking your calls at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Let's go to Jennifer in Missouri. Thank you for being patient with us. Welcome to the show. How are you tonight?
Hey, Mike. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking.
Good. So this is a hard one, actually. I was like cleaning house and everything and kind of listening to it. And then I was like, well, yeah, I'm going to call in and tell them what I kind of think about it. I think you can't, it's really hard to talk about. At first I thought this would be really easy because I was like, oh, we know what it is. But I mean, everybody already knows what it is. So then you're trying to figure out like, well, what can be, there's a lot more we need to talk about. And there's a few things I think that have to be said if you're going to think about the Akashic Records and fortune telling and all of that. And I think that where we have to, well, for one thing, there is no right answer to this because we won't know. Like, we're not going to figure this out. So I'm just going to like kind of say some of the stuff that I think about it and then, that kind of thing. So
sure. Go right ahead.
I think that this has a lot to do with I think we have to consider all the past. I've had like bad sinus allergy things, so excuse me. But anyway, we have to consider from the past, like all of the different mythos about what happens when we die and where we were before we were born. And so that's one thing that has to be considered about what you think. I mean, in the past, a lot of people in the past from all different cultures and everything believe different things about that. Most cultures have an idea of an underworld or at least like a heaven or a Hades or a hell or that kind of thing. Or definitely some kind of shade that happens with people. They die here, they go there. Akashic, the etymology of it, I think comes from a term like in Hebrew and Punjab and Sanskrit, meaning heaven or sky, realm, upper atmosphere, that kind of thinking. Insinuating that he was saying that this Akashic record was coming from that space. And record, of course, like the last caller was mentioning, would be a retelling, a revisiting, a reiterating of information. So, and then he would, with Casey, who was talking about this, he was looking into the subconscious of the individual if he was doing a health reading for them. And then he would also look at the Akashic records or combine them both. The subconscious of a human being it supposedly has all of the information from the time that person was born in their life, as they're experiencing it. Because, reincarnation is a whole different thing. But when you think about the day you were born and then all the way up until whenever he was doing a health reading for them, all that information of what they thought, what they saw, what they heard, what they felt, everything would be stored in their subconscious because the brain is we don't even know the limits of it. That's how infinite the mind is. So all that information is there. And then with the Akashic records, you would be insinuating that it's the same amount of context and information of probably all of the other subconsciouses that have ever been. So like basically an infinite record of information, which is just too big to think about. But that's what he's insinuating that this Akashic record is, in my opinion. And then when you're thinking about this, though, about how you have to think about the fact that about what happens So I think it's very awkward. I mean, we know what the Akashic record means, but infinite. Okay, a lot of people think that the Big Bang. This idea that we come from the Big Bang, but that won't matter because I mean, our body obviously is from all this matter constantly reusing itself. Like I believe that the physical body is millennia years old of the same exact matter being reproduced over and over and over again, because it's going to use the same thing that's already here. Nothing new is going to come in or go out. The same exact material will be used over and over again to make new bodies, new everything, plants, and so on and so forth. It just goes on and on and on, from what we can tell. The thing that's new coming in, that's strange, is what makes a person alive. Like their consciousness and their awareness of themselves being alive. So wherever that's coming from, and then the person considering that the thoughts that they're having, where are they coming from? They appear to come from inside, and it's really unusual because it's like a radio. So every time you have a thought, you think it's your own thought, but I think you've picked it up. Anyway, like a radio frequency, and that's where because nowhere the thoughts don't just come; they're coming from somewhere else, I think. But then, as far as fortune telling, I think that is a lot to do with necromancy and everything. Everyone probably listening is interested in this sort of thing. Of course, tarot cards and everything. Of course, I've read tarot cards, since I was probably 12. I'm 37, and so I've had an interest in tarot cards for a very, very long time. And I've noticed, I think that I'm not communicating. I think that I'm in touch with, I think people when they're doing it, this is just my opinion, but I think that people when they're doing it and when I've done it, that I am basically asking a ghost or a spirit that I'm working with specifically, that I'm used to working with, not working with, I hate that that kind of terminology, but when you shuffle a deck of cards, or you open a book randomly, if you ever do like a bibliomancy, like where you open a book and just pick a word, you pick it because something is guiding your eyes to it, and it's some kind of collaboration with a ghost. I believe it's kind of a type of necromancy. But, and as far as that goes, I mean, the guy you were just talking to had some really cool information about the tarot cards too, with his experience where he got kind of spooked. I had a similar experience to that, and I backed off of it for like a month and then continued doing it. But what happened with my situation was I was really into it. I was like sleeping on the deck, put it on your pillow, that kind of thing, and constantly checking it. Sorry, I'm going to make this really quick. But anyway, one thing I noticed was the card, I would draw a card, and I was communicating just with the deck itself, almost like a Ouija board. So instead of doing a reading for a person, I was kind of just like seeing how good it was as a channel, not a channel, but as a way of an oracle, how to use it that way. But I would draw the same card. I was drawing, I can't remember what the card was. And I would say, I'd shuffle the deck and talk to the deck, and I would say, show me, this or that. And I kept getting that same exact card, not literally spaced apart, one behind the other. And it happened after shuffling it 3 or 4 times. And that actually, for me, put me aback. And I put the deck away, too. But then I picked it back up again. And always have, off and on checked it, usually just for myself, the way I was saying. But, yeah, anyway, I think that you can't talk about these Akashic records very easily without talking about where that information is coming from. And I think, I tried to address it, what I think about it. But anyway.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on here with a lot of this. So that was kind of one of my questions when I began the conversation here. Is it? I guess more of the larger question is like Matt was saying. So we know what it is, but is it possible for a person to directly maybe access this information, or as you're describing, is there an intermediary between us with a necromancy situation, and we contact an entity elsewhere who then can interpret the Akashic record for us? Because I think clearly, we've seen some of these alien abduction, to kind of take it to that for a second, that people have had what they call downloads in their brain through a psychic mental connection, and that it was so much information so fast that they couldn't really process it. And so it's years later that finally they're maybe kind of catching up to all this information. So it makes me wonder a little bit if we're talking about an immense catalog of universal information of all time and all space forever, that it's too large for the human brain to even comprehend. So maybe, as you described with the necromancy, maybe there's an actual, it's a necessity for us to contact an entity that can maybe give that information back to us in a way we can perceive it. You see what I'm saying?
I think we need a tool to be able to interpret some information, because it is too big. So you almost need like a search, you know what I mean? So I think you would be using it almost like a tool. That's why people use all those different types of oracles and stuff. But I think, though, that the soul that we have, because I believe in souls, and so I think that if we have a soul, it never... See, it's very weird, because I don't believe in reincarnation. I'm not into that idea, or karma. Maybe reincarnation, but not like people think about it. But I don't believe in karma, that idea at all. That's just me personally. But I think that, there's no way that you weren't always, forever, having... It's not like you're new. We're not new here. Like since whenever it began, we were beginning too. And it had existed for the same amount of time, the same infinity. But we have a human body, and our consciousness is relating to our environment, limited by our physical, like by our brain and everything, because we're supposed to be living here, experiencing this. And so, but we aren't new, our body is new. Our brain is new because it just got made, like 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 15, whatever. So I think that we know this stuff, but we can communicate with other spirits, possibly long passed on or, not recently passed on. But see, that gets really confusing too, because anyway, it goes on and on, don't it? So anyway, I just think that I think we already know a lot of this information, and if you can get past your conscious mind into your subconscious, like people do when they're dreaming sometimes, or use of oracles, they can see things a lot more clearly. And that's what they're contacting the Akashic records. That's a Sanskrit Indian type of term, but yeah, I think it's the same old thing. I don't know. That's what I think about it. At first on the surface, the topic seems to be kind of like, sure, we'll just talk about that. But then you're like, oh, wait, no, it's like extremely complicated.
It gets bigger and bigger, doesn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, that's what
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the call. Anything else while we got you on?
No, that's it. I was just calling it, I don't know, just see what, I don't know. That's about it.
Awesome call as always. Thank you, Jennifer.
I'll talk to you later, Mike.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for the call.
Have a good night. Bye.
You too. There you go. Jennifer from Missouri. Good stuff. All right. So we're talking about the Akashic Records. See, again, it is one of those things where it's like, kind of like Matt said, sure, we know it exists. We know what it is. We know what it's supposed to be, right? Meaning, of course, there's going to be some knowledge base in the universe. However, can we connect with it? Can mere mortals contact this somehow and derive information from it? So that's what we're talking about tonight. As always, sometimes we get into the questions that are really larger than life, and to me that's what makes a good conversation, right? It makes people think. It makes people maybe shift their worldview and kind of take maybe take yourself out of a depressive state or things like this, right? It's like sometimes it's easy to get down on us because people are kind of crummy and the world is doing terrible things, and right, like it's easy to make a terrible case for humanity, but I think that it takes a little bit more work to see the beauty and the how large the concepts can be to kind of have a good conversation and think about this stuff. So thank you, Robert. Thank you, Jennifer. Fantastic stuff as always. Looking to hear from you. Talking about the Akashic Records tonight. 702-957-1037, and we do have a phone call here, and we're going to take it. Let's go to this. You are on Trouble Minds with Mike. What's your first name and where are you calling from?
I'm Sam Cicerello, and I'm from Florida.
Sam in Florida. Welcome to the show. First time caller, am I right?
Yes.
Right on. Welcome to the show. What is on your mind tonight, Sam?
Well, we're listening to what you were talking about and your guests were talking about. And, I kind of done a lot of this type of thinking, especially when I was a lot younger. My father and I used to sit and talk about everything under the universe and stay up late at night talking about different things. And I was just thinking in reference to this, you look at all these great minds that have existed throughout history, from Da Vinci, Galileo, Einstein, Tesla, Stephen Hawking, and they have surpassed a lot of what the people of their contemporary era could even begin to fathom, and some of them even today have surpassed what most people could even fathom. And maybe they're tapping into that caustic information out there in the universe.
Yeah. I'm with you. I think so. Somebody mentioned in the chat too, and this is a real story, by the way, that Tesla, right? Nikola Tesla actually said that he was gaining the information he knew in his inventions from some sort of universal source like this. And there's a story that kind of goes that he was with his intern, his assistant, whoever this was, and Tesla himself got himself caught in some sort of like electrocution situation where he was stuck in like an electrical field, and he froze. And it's one of those, right? Yeah, you've heard that, yeah. And so if he says that in that moment he was stuck and he couldn't save himself and he knew he was going to die, but he could see the past, the present, and the future all at the same time. And that's a way to kind of look at the Akashic record. And as the story goes, his assistant came in, noticed he was in trouble, shut the thing off, and he was able to survive the incident. But I think that maybe that's as they say, his inventions were in the air, right? Maybe we're on this path like Robert described when he called in earlier, that we kind of can't really deviate from, only in minor terms, right? Maybe that's the thing. Do you believe that everything's preordained, or do you think that? Go ahead.
No, I don't think that everything's preordained. I really, I believe in God, but I think God gives you the free will to make your own choices in life, and you can reap the rewards or suffer the consequences. But I think that even in nature itself, if you look at nature, not even just the cosmos or the universe, but you look at nature on Earth, they all have some type of information system that they pass down, like for animals and for plants, and even I was reading a thing where like the Amazon forest actually has a neural net that's underground of all these real fine hair-like structures that go from one side of the Amazon forest to the other, and it's all connected. And you can see when things are happening in one part of the forest, they actually can have an effect on the other side of the forest. And I think that possibly that nature is kind of a mirror or an example of what has actually happened on a cosmic scale or the universal scale.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think that's a good way to describe how everything is connected. I mean, even the Amazon, right? You have all these different entities. It's like one tree, the next tree, this plant, the other plant. But there's what you would call like maybe this huge organic root system that maybe makes it all one huge entity, right? And I think it's the same with us. I think that I think we are connected, and I think, I don't know, maybe. What's that?
I say you really think about it. In everything is connected in some way, even from the molecular scale, when you're looking at molecules and atoms and neutrons and electrons and all that, all the way up to us as a living being, to the structure of the Earth, the solar system, the universe, and all the questions we have for the universe that we don't have the knowledge or understand. I think all that's connected, and I think there's more to it than we can really fathom. I think that our minds, in some respects, aren't capable of absorbing all that information at one time.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
And then being able to regurgitate it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's just too much. I mean, the human brain's an amazing thing, but I think when you're talking about like the universal level of knowledge, it's not possible, right? Like, I think one entity is not able to process all that. Yeah, I mean, so have you ever had any experience? We have about maybe a couple minutes left here before we have to take a break. Have you had experience with tarot, or do you think there's any sort of connection here to like fortune telling, to the Akashic record? Or do you think that's a bunch of hogwash? We're okay with all of it. Just kind of discussing this stuff.
I had a girlfriend that was into that tarot reading and stuff like that, and reading of dreams, interpreting dreams and stuff like that. And I think what one of your other callers had said, that I think that's more interpretive. You interpret what you hear or what you see or what you're reading in the cards to your own specific situations in life. And we can draw all kinds of conclusions based on everything that we know as an individual that's affecting us, and we can make it out any way we want it to be. I think some people fool themselves more than others, but I really don't give too much credence to tarot cards.
Gotcha. Fair enough. And that's why we have the conversation in an open forum like this, because I think all those takes are valid, and I'm probably with you. I think it's more or less an interpretive state of our own, I don't know, maybe our own biases maybe get in the way, but I don't know. Again, I'm ignorant with that, but I think I probably lean toward your take there.
Yeah, I think that part of that is not a bad thing, because I know I'm a retired law enforcement officer, and I've been in a lot of situations where you get what's called a gut feeling.
Yep.
And that gut feeling is actually you picking up on different things or messages or situations, movements or whatever's going on around you.
Yep.
And that's what your brain is interpreting it more subconsciously than consciously.
Yep.
And I find that the more that you're involved in those situations, the easier it is for you to pick up that stuff.
Yep.
So, we interpret things all the time. And so who knows?
Agreed.
Anyway,
so just before you go, we got to cut. But just before you go, my grandfather was a police officer. He told me a story about something very specific, that he had a regular routine pullover traffic stop. There was like a 16-year-old girl in the car, and he just couldn't shake the crazy feeling, right? It's just that sixth sense, right? Like you said, that gut feeling. And so he approached it differently because he just couldn't describe what was going on. He sneaks up to the side of the car. This was the old days, like in the 60s. He opens her car door, and out of her lap falls a .357 Magnum onto the concrete. He knew.
Oh, no.
Like, he knew, but he couldn't have known, right? Anyway, I appreciate the call, Sam. Just wanted to throw that out there as an addendum to your story. I appreciate the call. Thank you for listening, my friend. We'll talk to you soon, okay? Hate to cut you short. We got to go.
Thank you. You have a good one.
Thanks, bro. You too. Bye. There you go. Simple as that. See, there's some stories out there. There's some things. There's some things to consider. Those sixth sense, those gut feelings. Great call from Sam. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. 702-957-1037. Don't go anywhere. More discussion about the Akashic records and you after the break. Be right back. All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We are streaming on Facebook, DLive, YouTube, Periscope. We are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM, and we're talking about the Akashic records. What is this? Do you think it's related to fortune telling in any way, capacity whatsoever? Do you think it's hogwash, BS, or anything in between? We're taking all calls on this, all thoughts, because, well, I think that's how you get to the bottom of things. You get a bunch of people together and you ask everybody what they think, and I think at the bottom of it, you get a ton of opinions that probably point in a similar direction, oddly enough. As we do this, we are taking your phone calls. If you want to be part of the show tonight, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Phone number's up on the stream. Let's go to, looks like this is Derek, Massachusetts. Welcome, the Night Stalker, to the show. How are you, my friend?
What's going on, Mike? Great stuff.
Thank you. Just hanging out, chilling, man, doing our thing. What do you think about this Akashic Records?
I got a few thoughts. I missed the first part of the show, so I'm sorry if I'm going to repeat anything here.
That's okay.
But,
no problem.
Just real quick before I forget, in the chat, Kate said that our skin and our hair are like antenna. And in the Discord chat, I posted that in Avatar, they have the Tree of Souls, which like they literally attach to with their like weird tail hair, like sex organ thing that they have. And then they get attached to the collective memory of their entire species, basically. So like that is like a tangible, physical Akashic record kind of that they can tap into in the form of a tree. And then like it kind of makes me think of what if it's in our DNA? What if I think that every thought and every moment in our life is like imprinted on us somewhere in our DNA. Maybe it's in our junk DNA or whatever. But what if that collective memory, the collective history of like every perceived moment through your entire lineage is somewhere like locked in like your DNA, and you can tap into that, and that's kind of what you're tapping into with these weird like deja vus and that kind of stuff. But yeah, and also there's a guy called the Galactic Historian. I think his name's like Andrew Barksick, something like that. Who there's probably a ton of people who do this, but he claims to be like the official guy chosen to like tap into the Akashic record whenever he wants to. So he has this like 16-hour, 16-part video on YouTube. It's like a decade old at this point. I only made it halfway through, but he literally just chronicles the entire history of the galaxy. It's wild stuff. Like whether you believe it or not, it's cool sci-fi at the very least. But that's kind of a cool idea. Like the whole collective thoughts and whole collective perception. Like if consciousness, the goal of it is to experience and perceive, then the Akashic record could essentially be like all of that data ever collected by sentience in the cosmos. You know, that's one idea for it. But then like another kind of weird sci-fi idea is like, what if there's something kind of in the ether that we can tap into, like outside of ourselves, like some kind of ancient cloud? Like what if there was a Atlantis or Lemuria or whatever, and they got like super scientifically advanced and like put everything in a cloud like we are, all their data, all their stuff, and but was existed for much longer, got more advanced, put like their memories in the ether, put like their thoughts and ideas, maybe as a civilization moved into this etheric plane or whatever, and then that's something you can tap into. So what if like all we have is like relics and stone and ruins of possible ancient civilizations, but what if eventually we get to their technology that they were at, and we tap into this whole invisible field that's all around us that we might accidentally be bumping into every now and then, and like getting these insights from, you know? That's a lot, but yeah, what do you think about that?
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. I think this is one of those conversations that is, like I said, it kind of transcends conversations. It just in the sense that it kind of traverses a lot of things, right? Whether this is built into us, whether again, like I said, predisposed history. Some people believe in the free will, although others don't. I mean, there's a lot of intertwining here, and then, like I said, the junk DNA. It's an unbelievable amount of things where it seems like, kind of like Jennifer was saying, it seems like a simple concept to consider and talk about. It encompasses so many things that we end up, I don't know, maybe chasing our tail a little bit just to kind of conceive of something so huge, right? It kind of seems that way.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's something up your head. I mean, like I don't necessarily think that events are happening in a linear fashion to begin with. So like the main takeaway I have with the Akashic record is like the record aspect of it, that it is like a chronicling of something more than I associated with the collective consciousness of the planet. I think it's like a chronicling of the collective consciousness of the planet, less than it is like what we're tapping into when we have psychic moments. That's maybe something different. But I think like time is an illusion. It's just a perception that we have while we're riding around in these meat suits. It's just how we process this realm that we're in. But every event that has ever happened, never could happen, never will happen, has already happened all at once, and we just perceive it as these moments, and that's kind of like, so when we're having these psychic insights and stuff, I think it's just we're perceiving a little more than we normally do. Like, we know when the reality that we're living in is a tiny, tiny, tiny sliver of what's there. Like, we know we can't see like 99.9% of like it's what we perceive as reality is not reality. So I think if you have a totality, if you see more of this, like let's say we perceive 1%, sometimes we might catch little glimpses that's outside of that 1% because reality is it happened, and it's just fed to us. We take it all in like the Matrix code. Our brain processes it and gives it to us in a linear fashion. But sometimes in altered states or in people who are just extra perceptive or whatever might catch these glimpses on the outside. And because we're all connected and because events aren't happening where we think they are, that's what I believe psychic thing is. But I don't personally think that's as much what we're tapping into when we're tapping into the Akashic record. I think that's more of like, even though time is an illusion, it's more of like if the goal of consciousness, the monad, the universe, source, is to perceive all of itself, it's kind of like the record of that, basically. Is what I'm rambling, so I'll let the next caller come on. But,
well, I'm not sure why you think. Hold on, I'm not sure why you think rambling's a bad thing. This is a talk show, bro. It's okay.
Sorry.
We get together.
You know?
We get together to ramble, man. That's what this is about. It's okay. It's okay. All right.
No, you're a good host. Like you don't interrupt me and everything. So I feel like I'm going off on too much of a tangent.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good. So let me ask you a couple questions then before you go. So if you got time, You're not working, right?
Yeah, wait, for sure. No, I'm off.
Okay. All right. So just a couple questions then. So with the Akashic record in general, do you think that people can access this? So again, like we talked about the download of the alien, like kind of the telepathic communication, where sometimes it's too much for people as they've described in these abduction scenarios. Do you think it's similar with the Akashic record, and kind of like Jennifer was describing, and maybe I picked up on a little bit, that humans can't really perceive of it because it's so massive that there's an intermediary necessary? Do you think that there's some sort of a channeling of an entity that is required to tap into the source material there?
Whew, that's a lot. Jennifer always bringing the heat, you know.
Right.
But yeah, I definitely think that. I mean, I don't know what it is. Like, I don't have any answers, obviously, and I don't have these extra abilities. Like, I don't consider myself psychic and that kind of stuff. But from like what I understand from like the narratives I hear, the people who are like heavily invested in it and who call themselves Akashic record historians or whatever, they believe it's very possible, and that like we all kind of do it. And like it's one explanation for like what a deja vu type thing is. But like I think that there's a ton of stuff that's in the ether that that the Akashic record might just be like one wavelength that we can tap into when we get into altered states. But I think like most of the action is happening outside of like the physical world. Like we don't know where our thoughts come at all. Like for all we know, our thoughts are like invisible clouds that we're walking into, and like we don't know. And like there's a show that I might check out this week. It's been on my Netflix queue for like years, called The Travelers, but I never actually knew what the plot was. And I guess like the tagline is or whatever, they're in the future, and they have to like manipulate. They have to like somehow get in contact with the past. So they figure out a way to like shoot their consciousness. Like they don't time travel. They just like shoot their consciousness into the ether to be picked up by like other vessels somehow. And that like very much could be what is happening. Like especially we've talked about the technology aspect a million times. Like we don't know what is influencing these. Like a lot of the great inventors in history, Jobs, et cetera, believe that or got their inspiration for their ideas in altered states or in like they were kind of into the metaphysical and stuff. Like they think something else told them that. Like all the best art is usually created. Like they think the flow state is like, yeah, it wasn't me. I kind of just get out of the way and let this art come through. You know, so like whatever that is, the muses or what, like I don't know what inspiration is. I don't necessarily think that's the Akashic record per se, but I think there's a lot of stuff in the ether that we can tap into, and we just as a culture don't have the maps yet. Same way with like the astral realms and the dream realms and the psychedelic realms. We don't know the differences yet, really, but we know it's something else. Like, I think maybe in the future we'll be able to like, okay, let's tap into frequency 1, 2, 3, 4, and this will bring me to the Akashic record. Tap into frequency 793, and that'll bring me to this ancient like alien race that is sending out like whatever ideas. That kind of like there could be whole civilizations who don't have physical bodies and they're only living in these kind of like wavelengths, you know. And we're getting some ideas from them, some ideas from our past in the Akashic record, some ideas from just, I don't know, like satellite or TV from another planet. You know what I mean? I think there's a lot in like that's in the pot.
In the mix, the universal mix, as it were. That's a good way to put it.
I think it's very complex.
Yeah, very complex. As usual, right? Nothing's so simple here on this show anyway. Good stuff as always, my friend. Anything else while we got you on the phone?
No, great stuff. Always crushing it, Mike.
Thank you. Appreciate it. You as well. Always crushing it. Derek from Massachusetts. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. That's a Night Stalker. You can find him on the Fringe Discord and also on our Discord. Here's the quick plug: troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link and get your ass in there. Fringe.fm/chat. Hop in there and say hi to all the smart people. There's a lot of smart people in there with a lot of great ideas. All right, so we're still taking your phone calls. We're talking about the Akashic record tonight and what it means, right? It's kind of a bigger concept than it seems, right? Than it seems as an initial conversation topic. Like I said, I'm a little surprised everybody's so interested. I thought it'd be me like kind of reading a bunch of stuff, but no, it's you guys telling us what's going on, and I appreciate that a lot. It makes the conversation much more rich. So 702-957-1037. Let's go to Matt in California. Welcome to the show, my friend. Thank you for being patient. How are you tonight?
Good. How's it going, Mike?
I'm doing good. What do you think about this this crazy Akashic record stuff?
Yeah, it's a great show, great topic. Okay, so we talked about the Akashic record. Akashic is in Sanskrit means the ethereal or the ether or spirit. So it's pretty much it's spirit like records. And so I don't know. I have no idea how to get to it. I have no experiences with it. I just know I believe in it because of all the other stories and things. I've read a few of Edgar Casey's books. And so I believe in it, but I don't know how to get there. And so that's why I was saying, we know what it is, but we don't know how to get there. And so I want to talk about a place called the Great Alexandrian Library. If you know what I'm talking about, if you know about the Great Alexandrian Library, you would cry because it's a sad story. But there's stories there and there's martyrs there that in the Great Alexandrian Library. So I want to imagine they tried to bring all the knowledge to one place. And so imagine the biggest city you've been to, so like Vegas or a big city like San Francisco, but every building is a library. So people like us, like I would believe that if there was a place like that, I would want to go there and learn, right? And live there, I'd be in there reading all day long if the place like that existed. And so if you know what happened, it's tragic, but I think maybe in some way, maybe instead of it being a physical place, a physical building with all the books that all the knowledge we can have, it's in the spirit realm for a reason, so that it can't be destroyed by man.
I see.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's good. And so, notably and interesting that you bring up the Library of Alexandria. I think probably just kind of as you were talking about it, it kind of flashed through my mind is maybe a modern parallel would be the Vatican Library, right? Like all the secrets of the world and the universe locked up behind something like this. Anyway, just as an aside, but
the problem with that is he said they're locked up. So people like me and you can't, we can't just get on a plane, go to the Vatican. You think that we show up and be like, hey, can we read some books? No, they won't let us read those books.
No, of course not. It was kind of more of if there was a modern parallel. But aside the point, I like the idea. So that if it is in the spirit realm, in the ether or ethereal realm, as people say, maybe it can't be touched. It's beyond human destruction, and I like that idea. I definitely like that idea because, as you know, as many of us know, well, if you're like, well, humans can't get to this and destroy it, humans are like, hold my beer, watch this. I'm going to burn this effort down, right? That's how humans do. So I don't know, man. I like the idea. Do you think there's any reality to the Akashic record itself? Do you think it actually exists out there?
Yeah, I believe in it. I just, like I said, we have to figure out a way to tap into it, and that's what we're having the conversation. How do we access it? So this guy, Edgar Casey, I call him Edgar Case. I don't know if that's how I say his name.
It's Casey.
Edgar
Yeah.
Casey.
Yeah, Casey.
I read a few of his books, and like what he did was he would astral travel. So he figured out a way, learned astral travel, and he would like find this, I guess you say like a walkway or a road, maybe a portal, a hallway, and he would walk down it. And as he's walking down it in his astral form, he would see these spirits or entities, and they would try to distract him or take him off course, or like not make it to where he can get to his goal. And so he had to be mindful, power in his mind to ignore the distractions and get through. And as he went further and further down this hallway, he would find like helpful, spirits that would help him. And then he would get to the other side, and he would find like a building, and he would go in the building, and it was like a huge, ginormous library of books. And every book was like somebody's book. So everybody has their own book of their life.
Right.
And either here, there, past, present, future. And so he would ask, I didn't know about this person, and like the book would just magically, come to him, appear to him, and he would read it, and he would bring it back. And so that's interesting in his stories, how he did it. But as far as it existing, I think it's more like when we talked about the Tesla thing, like he got zapped into it. It could just be all around us, and we just don't know how to tap into it, kind of like a parallel universe.
Yeah, and that's all part of this too. Is like you've seen Interstellar, right? The end of that, without too many spoilers. Where it seems like you haven't seen it.
I have to say I haven't seen that movie yet.
Oh, are you kidding me?
I have to go see it now.
Listen, guys, I don't watch a lot of movies, but I'm telling you, if you haven't seen Interstellar, holy crap, go watch that movie. So at the end,
right in my alley.
At the end, there's what appears to be an Akashic record. It's in the movie, and so not only that, it's like where time and space are sort of at a standstill, and you can access any point in time or space through this nexus or whatever it is. Go watch it. Interstellar is amazing. Like it's good. The dudes love it. The women love it. Everybody loves this movie because it's got Matthew McConaughey, right? You know what I'm saying? Matthew McConaughey.
I feel dumb. I feel dumb because it's a movie I've been wanting to see a long time. I know what it's about, but yeah, I feel idiot for not seeing it yet. I want to watch it.
There's only so much time, man. There's only so much time. Go see it, and you'll see what I mean. So I'm not gonna. So oddly enough, I brought it up with Jennifer. She said she hadn't seen it. I brought it up with you. You haven't seen it. I thought literally I was the only one who never saw these movies, but apparently I'm not the only one. It's all good. Okay, so all right, so it exists. This is a real thing, and so the question that you're bringing up, and I agree with you 100%, is how do we access this information, right? Do you think it's built into us, or do you think there's an intermediary like Jennifer was describing?
I think it's, like I said, it's in the ether. It's in the spirit world, I guess, when we just have to figure out a way to get there. So do I have time to talk about tarot cards?
Yeah, so we got about, so let's say 3 minutes, so you got time.
Oh, I was just going to say, okay, yeah, I don't know. Just, it's one of those things where you got to think about, too, is if we could tap into it, what would we learn? And so we might learn, everything. So what would that do to us then, But, yeah, I don't know how to say it. I believe in it. I don't know how to explain it. That's where we're going with it. We know what it is. It's a records in a spirit world. But how to get to it, what it really is, there's all kinds of great theories that Night Stalker was talking about, and everyone tonight, good stuff. But it's just the thing. It's like they're all theories. We don't know yet. We're trying to figure it out together.
Yeah,
I'm going to end with that.
All right, perfect. I appreciate the call. Matt from California, great call as always. Amazing stuff. Thank you for listening. Thanks for the call. We'll talk to you soon, my friend.
Thanks, Mike. Good night.
Thanks, bro. There you go. So at the end of this, so hang tight, Daryl. We're running out of time here, so I don't want to go to you and then cut you off. So we got Daryl on the line as well. We're going to go to Daryl in just a sec here. This is the deal, right? So this is exactly like back in the day before anybody ever heard of Troubled Minds or before I was even any good at this. I envisioned a show like this where we could start a conversation and have just fantastic call after fantastic call talking about literally things that are larger than the universe, right? Like this is philosophy, right? This is the great conversation, as I like to call it. Again, go look that up from the 50s. This is a thing that there's no answers here. And it doesn't necessarily matter that there are no answers because the value of this is in the conversation. And, you take these big, huge topics like all the rest of these things, the Akashic record and the knowledge of the universe. And you see, right? It's not as simple anymore. It's such a big thought that it kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? It makes you wonder if what's really going on out there and is this stuff real? And as we finish up tonight, again, hang tight, Daryl. We'll go to you as soon as we finish here. We get a third hour of Troubled Minds coming up. I don't know. I'm not sure what to think about tarot cards in general and the rest of this stuff. But I think that there does seem to be some scientific basis for having time exist simultaneously, right? And I think that we are just kind of as a bumbling meat suit, maybe traveling through that experience as only as we're allowed, right? Like there's a lock, there's a gate, there's a key somehow that maybe someday we'll be able to unlock and view this Akashic record personally and for ourselves and maybe share it with each other. But I think it is not this day. It is not this day. And as we finish up and continue talking about this great stuff, I thank you. I thank you for spending your time with us. I know there's a million things you could be doing right now, but you're here. You're here listening to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. All of the fantastic callers tonight made this show. I barely did anything. This is what this is about. We get together with all these smart people and talk about these amazing concepts, and this is what you get. And I think it's fantastic. I think, like I said, our secret weapon is you and your ideas and your thoughtfulness and the fact that you want to make the world a better place. And this is a good place to get together and do it. So thank you so much. As we finish up, one more hour of Troubled Minds on DLive, YouTube, Facebook, and Periscope, and also the podcast feed. If you're listening to us on the Fringe FM, stay tuned for Joe Roop Lighting the Void. And at the end of this, thank you so much. We'll be back tomorrow night at 7. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night. All right, what's up, guys? We are off the Fringe, which means third hour Troubled Minds coming up. I'm going to go take the dog out real quick, so we're going to take a 2-minute break. What's up, Billy? Thank you. It says, I'm a recent fan, and to be honest, Mike, you are doing something huge here. And that's getting people to open up, explore, and talk about things they might not have thought of before. Awesome, and thank you. Thank you, Billy. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being part of this. All the rest of you as well. This is, again, like I said, this is nothing without you guys. Nothing. I promise you that. Nothing without you. Because we get together and we talk about amazing things, and there's a lot of amazing things to talk about. So hang tight. We've got Daryl on the line. Thank you, Daryl. Be patient. We'll be right with you. And let's take a 2-minute break. 2 minutes. I'm going to go take the dog out. We'll be right back with more Troubled Minds in 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Third hour Troubled Minds coming up. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Be right back. Hang tight, Daryl. Be right with you. Thanks, guys. Be right back. Let's do this. I think it's been a couple minutes. Thank you, Daryl, for hanging tight. Let's go to Daryl. Let's go to Daryl. This is Troubled Minds on Michael Strange, and we're talking about the Akashic Records and you. Daryl in New York, thank you for waiting. You're on Troubled Minds with Mike. How are you tonight?
Hey, I want to say, Michael, that was those two last calls were so inspiring and interesting on the wavelength I like to sometimes go on and think about. I got inspired to call you about the Akashic records. First of all, I picture like get my kryptonite and then just go like to Superman's planet and get my Akashic records. Pick out a spike, a crystal, and throw it in the air and see where it lands, and then I'll have a whole, like, Vegas full of knowledge, like she described. That was great. What was her name, the last caller? Did you get her name?
So it was Matt.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Okay,
yes,
yeah. It was
very well.
It was Matt, it was Derek, and I think before that was Jennifer. Is that right? I think you're talking about Jennifer.
After Night Stalker, after Derek. And Derek's call was great.
That was Matt. That was Matt.
Oh, okay. That was so great. Just the thought, to me, it's like a Superman kind of knowledge that you could just, like, not necessarily physically tap into, but it seems like you could just, grab the knowledge if you're in tune with it. I mean, I've heard, like, Akashic people that are fluent in the Akashic records on the radio, and they can just grab this knowledge out of the air. It seems to just be available to them and not to others, which is fascinating to me. Like, what do they know that we don't know, or how do they tap into that they could get the knowledge? They say, well, it's there, and there was even a seminar for learning how to do Akashic records. I stayed about 5 minutes, and I knew it was well over my head, and I didn't stick around. But that's my thought about it, about the Akashic records. And I was going to mention this. I'm always mentioning this. I'm kind of obsessed over this. But, once you add a little artificial intelligence and you modify human DNA, which is kind of what's going on with the thing that rhymes with Maxine.
Right.
They're altering our DNA. What they're putting in this can actually diagnose for future illnesses, supposedly. It's like a program. It's like a computer that could tap into your body and know its biorhythms and tell people remotely what's wrong with you. If you have a cough, if you have a finger, broke a fingernail, whatever, if you have cancer, it's going to be able to diagnose you remotely from some other intelligence. So you've got a little AI in you now. And what can that little AI do? Can that little AI, read your mind? Can it control your mind? Just on that, on that level. And if there was an Akashic records, did we just break the law by trying to alter human DNA? We just added. I mean, half of the world now has artificial intelligence in them with this messenger DNA. Why do they call it a messenger? You know what I'm saying? So maybe that's going to stop us from any journey into, like, expanding a consciousness if somebody's going to control our consciousness. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hope that's not where we're headed here. I don't know.
Think about it.
Yeah, definitely. That I'm not so sure. But of course, I don't know much of anything, as you know. I'm the guy that stokes.
Well, I know, me either. Me either. Who does? But just pondering this stuff. I'm very concerned about the potential, and they're so into making sure we all get it. And then I started thinking, like, what if half of us got a good vaccine and the other half got the the death vaccine? You know what I'm saying? Not us, but them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no,
I don't know.
I'm with you.
I'm totally obsessed over it. I'm very troubled by this whole thing and the whole lack of our freedom. If they lose our freedom, how can we have free will? Do we really have free will? Did we lose our free will?
Exactly.
Either physically or, hypothetically or really, physically, we've lost our free will. Can they control our free will?
Yeah, a couple notable things.
Exist anymore.
We've derailed a little bit, but it's okay. Couple notable things for you.
Right.
I don't know if you heard this. So recently, they found 12 people who were actually the source of disinformation for the the pandemic, and one of those people was RFK.
All 12 of them?
RFK Jr. Just FYI, he's on the
I
list.
I know.
He's not.
List. He's got all the truth. The truth lies with him. I'm telling you.
I'm just letting you know. You've mentioned him
he's one of the
before,
top 12.
Yeah, he's on the list of 12,
dear.
the top 12. The government has put him on an official list of 12 people, and he's the most notable name.
Please.
And then the second thing, if you hadn't seen this, so I just wanted to point that out if you hadn't heard. Second, something came out today. Timcast was talking about it, where it looks like the French are going to imprison people who don't get get the vaccine.
Oh no!
Yes.
Oh
yes.
no! No! You don't know. You can't even send a message to somebody on Twitter or on Facebook. It'll get blocked. An automatic block saying this doesn't abide by our community standards. You can't share any knowledge. But somehow there's certain people that know how to write the right stuff. Because I'm still able to send some stuff. The guy who made the mRNA vaccine is speaking up. He's recommended totally against it. He wanted to say you have to do the safety first, and he's talking. I hope they don't kill him. This guy is amazing. He invented it. He created the mRNA vaccine, and he told them in the beginning, in the get-go, wait till you do more safety, and they didn't listen to him, and they overlooked the last thing he mentioned, and he created it. So if he's talking, I think people can't say he's misinformation if he made it,
Yeah, totally.
So gotta listen to this guy. I'll send you the link to something great in YouTube. I'll send it to you in the chat room.
Thank you. Please.
But anyway,
do.
that's my thought, and
Okay, so let me ask you then while we got you on the phone. So we derailed a little bit, but what do you think about this Akashic record thing? Do you think it's real, and do you think people can tap into it?
Well, I don't know. I've heard people tap into it, and it's amazing to me. That they have this access to this knowledge. That we don't all have. So how do some people have it? I think I do believe in it. I was very convinced when I've heard people, just muttering off what the future has in store or whatever. Whatever they were doing certainly didn't sound like it was their idea. They weren't making it up, No, I really believe them. I don't think they were faking it.
Okay.
You can't fake fluency in an Akashic, It's more than a language. It's really some kind of knowledge, base. So I don't know. But how come some people can get into it and some people can't? How come it's not universal? Are they that spiritually, amazing? Maybe they are. I kind of think they are. What do you think?
The jury's still out. I don't know what to think. I think there's definitely a universal knowledge base. Whether people can directly contact that and tell you about yourself, I'm still skeptical. But again, I'm open to being convinced, as with many things. So yeah, that's what
I don't know. I have to find the show it was on. There was somebody on one of these shows. I hope somebody like Night Stalker remembers who it was. But that they were in tune. What's her name? Clyde Lewis's wife is Akashic Records fluent. J.D. Lewis.
J.D. Lewis.
To talk about her. Talk to her. She said she's fluent in Akashic, so get her on your show.
Okay. All right. I'll see if I can do that. For sure. All right. So it is real.
Right.
You think people can access it? I appreciate the call. You're the best, Daryl. Thank you so much.
You got it. Have a good night.
Thanks a lot. You too.
Bye.
There you go. Daryl from New York. Simple as that, right? We're taking your phone calls tonight. We're taking about the Akashic Record. As usual, fantastic call after fantastic call after fantastic call. I hate to be the person who follows all that up because, wow, so much amazingness. But, well, I'm sorry, James. We're going to have to go to you. You're going to have to follow up all these amazing calls. James Salcedo Paranormal, welcome to the show. How are you tonight, my friend?
Thank you. I'm okay. Yeah, I'm not worried. I do what I can, but I don't ever try to tap anybody because
okay. All right, perfect.
It's just too hard.
It was only a joke. Go right ahead, sir. What's on your mind tonight?
No, I'm not joking.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Is the Akashic Record real, and what do you think about it?
I think that's possible. That's real. I don't know for sure. I do wonder if sometimes when we have dreams of being in situations that we've never been in before or that don't seem possible, I wonder if that is somehow accessing it, but to look into another, like a parallel or alternate universe.
Okay. So is it connected to the dream state then? Do you think it is?
I don't know for sure, obviously, but I think it's possible.
Okay.
I mean, that is kind of like an altered altered state of consciousness. There are cases where people connect with their loved ones through dreams, and if it has to do with spiritual, then that would seem to maybe hint that it's possible that that's the case. I just know I had a couple of dreams about basically things that are not physically possible in this universe. So I just thought I'd go over those real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
If you have time.
Yeah, definitely. We got much time as you need. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, the first one, again, so I'm legally blind, for those that don't know me. I've walked with a white cane most of my life, about the second half of my life mostly. And that's the cane that helps me find steps and obstacles when I'm walking around. So I use it all the time. Now, in this dream, I was walking down a street in a city I didn't recognize. I did not have my cane with me. But I wasn't worried. It was like I didn't need it there. And it didn't make sense because if I'm in any kind of new area that I don't know, I need to have that, you know. But I was walking through the city and I walked into this apartment building, and the thought I got was, I'm going home. I'm walking home. And it was just so realistic in that I didn't feel, it felt like it was me, but not me. And like I said, I didn't need a cane. Now, I have no depth perception, so that didn't make sense to be walking around anywhere without that. But, so yeah, I don't know how else to explain that except that maybe it was some kind of a glimpse into a different universe and a different version of myself.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So you were able to kind of step out of your own experience into some other, maybe like a higher experience that, and everything was fine. There were no accidents. You got home and it was always fine and well.
Yeah, everything was fine. I also got the sense that I was there alone, and I really didn't have like family there with me or near me. Which in waking life, I'm always in contact with my family, and they always help me out with whatever I need help with. Getting around. So I'm very, I rely on my family a lot more than I want to, really. But it's not the same.
Right, I understand. Interesting. And so maybe there's a way that you did maybe access this in some capacity then, right?
Yeah. So that's the first case where it just didn't make sense. The other case is a dream I had one time. Now, my parents got divorced when I was really little, and then they got remarried again years later. And it actually both, my mom and my stepmom both had daughters at the same time. Now, in this other dream, everyone, my mom and then my stepdad at that time, and I were in the house together that we used to live in. This was years ago, with my sister, but I had two other sisters in this dream. And they all looked similar, like they came from my mom and then that, my then stepdad. But that's not what happened here. That never happened. They're not even together anymore. At this point, it didn't make sense. But it was like I was home, and everything was fine. But there was, my sister that I know that is here, and then there was two others.
Interesting. Almost like you saw a different version of yourself, even, huh?
Yeah, that's why I wonder, and I don't claim to know anything really for sure, but I just think that it's interesting, and I think that's possible that I was getting glimpses into other versions of reality. So
interesting.
Yeah, so those are my experiences.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So do you have a that's good stuff. Do you have a take on tarot cards and maybe fortune telling? Do you think it's maybe a direct access to that Akashic record, or do you think it's not related at all?
I don't know. I think it's possible. I think I think there's a lot of ways to. I think there's probably a lot of different things that people can reach into to get the information, whether it's the Akashic record or spirits or subconscious. But I think it's also, you could almost say that it's all connected to that record still. If that record contains everything, it has everything basically recorded in it, then, even if it's not directly, you're not directly looking into it, then, you could be just doing that, but through other sources or filters, I guess you could say.
Yeah, like so again, I don't have a problem believing it exists. I think again, right? Like given, I think science. I'll go into a little bit of the science here after your call, but like even Einstein has suggested that time exists simultaneously from beginning to end, and we're just as Derek was describing, these kind of meat suits, experiencing it through the only way we can, which is sort of this weird linear process, which we describe ourselves as time. But in a larger sense, I know we're all as amazing as the human brain is. It's going to have limitations, right? I mean, we after all are only human, right? We're only so big. We're only right. I mean, so there's a lot here to think about. I don't have a problem with it existing. I think the thing for me is people accessing it, and if they can, so think of it this way, right? So if you had like the access to the Akashic record in any form whatsoever, and you could like apply it to me, right? That means you would know everything about me forever, right? And not only that, you might even know my past lives and my future lives, right? Assuming reincarnation is a thing. There's a lot there. So I think for me, the burden of proof of somebody like knowing and being able to tap into that Akashic record is huge, right? Because they'd have to know an unbelievable amount. So I don't know. I'm skeptical that we can contact it, but I do believe it's real. I do believe it's real. That's my take at this point. As always, I'm reserve the right to change my mind. I don't know. Your thought on that?
I think also, I said this in the chat earlier. I think that I don't know that everything is predetermined the way some people say it is. In that, I think everything is possible, and I think I've heard that every universe is basically created by a possibility being, taking place. And so I think that any kind of predictions that you make, they could be accurate for that moment that you are in, or that the person is in. But then, as time goes on, I think it's a mixture of predetermination, but also the whole, multiple universes thing. I don't think it's good to lean too much on that, like completely on that all the time, or to expect everything to go the way that predictions are said to go. Or even just like when you get messages about things through your dreams or through whatever, spirits or whatever. I had this one time real quick where I was trying to decide whether or not to do a couple of things that have to do with my podcast. And I got this message in my mind's eye. It was kind of like a light appeared, like behind my closed eyes, like in my mind. And I got this answer of yes, you can, do these things and it'll be fine. And so I did them. Well, one of the two things didn't work out the way I thought, but in the end, everything was still fine. But at the time, I thought it meant it'll be fine as in, yes, this is what you need to do, and it's going to be okay, and, that's the way to go. But that didn't happen that way.
Okay, interesting. So it didn't go that way, but it seemed like at the time everything was kind of pointing to a particular direction, and then it didn't work out anyway, right?
Right.
Interesting.
Right, but it didn't work out that way that I was thinking of. But it did work out. It did work out in the end, where everything was still fine.
I see. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Like this intuition and dream states, and the larger consciousness of the universe is it's a big topic. A lot to talk about here. So I know I'm not trying to cut you off. You're allowed to go as long as you need here, but I don't want to miss that you have a podcast. Do you want to tell people about it?
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, my podcast is Salcedo Paranormal. It's I do a monthly episode that's recorded where I feature stories about paranormal events from people that write in or that I find online. And then I also do a weekly stream on my Discord server, Salcedo Media. And I cover different aspects of the paranormal and supernatural there, and then also share stories from people as well, and then interact with people and respond to their comments and questions. And it goes anywhere from about 45 minutes to maybe an hour and a half the most so far. Just however the conversation goes is how long it goes.
There you go. Give James some love,
Friday
guys.
night.
Friday night, go ahead.
Yeah, Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, every Friday night. So
there it is. Salcedo Paranormal. Go download his podcast too, guys. Check him out. Good stuff. I'm not trying to run you off. Any other thoughts while we got you here?
No, that's it. I'm just great conversation, great calls from everybody, and thank you for having me as always.
Pleasure's ours. Pleasure's ours. Thank you, James. I'll get with you and we'll meet up on that the episode we're going to do together. Okay.
Sounds good. Have a good night.
Thanks a lot, my friend. We'll talk to you soon. That's James Salcedo Paranormal. Check out his podcast. Download him, guys. Download the podcast. You like all things paranormal and the conversations we have. That's he's right in the same vein, as you can tell, talking about the crazy things that we talk about. So, all right, still taking your phone calls, guys. I don't know. Let me. So we got Kelly. Let me get Kelly on here and say hi. And I know he'll give me a minute to burn through this real fast. But we have some other stuff, right? Like there's actually like some science behind this Akashic record stuff. So Kelly, if you're there, come on in, buddy. Come on in. I just want to explain this to the rest of the folks. Welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
All right. How are you guys doing?
Fantastic, man. Happy Monday to you. Happy Monday. Before you go, just let me just toss this in here, right? This is from buzzchomp.com, and I got a bunch of links regarding this, but there is a theory, like there's a scientific theory that's very much like we're describing here, that time does exist in a sort of state of perpetuity, meaning that we live in this, whatever this time basis is, but theory of time. All time exists at the same time. So I don't want to go off on this and do a bunch of this because we got Kelly on, and I'd rather listen to Kelly. But I'll drop a couple of these links and talk about this as we go, because this is like Einstein like came up with this, right? Like not him directly, of course, standing on the shoulders of giants and all this, but anyway. Welcome to the show, my friend. What do you think about the Akashic records and that there's maybe some science to this? What do you think about all this stuff?
I don't know. Like that type of stuff for me is it's kind of like what when I think about that, it's kind of like what the old teachings were saying, kind of like what Jennifer kind of touched on real quick, but it was like the Hindus, they had the ancient Sanskrit. There was guys that, people that they had went and take a trip to India, and they went to, some temples there, and they met with somebody that pulled out some ancient Sanskrit, right? And they tell the exact the guy is explaining, like, it told his whole life story. The guy just unfolded it, read it. He pulled out like a certain section of the Sanskrit, and he read it. Like they knew that he was already coming. That's what they were telling him. So that's kind of another library type thing that that's pretty interesting as well. But the Akashic records is, these ancients always talked about it. Kind of like with ancient Egypt, Buddhism, Taoism, Hinduism. But for me, if in the science like you're talking about, it's kind of like what what's his name? Einstein, not Einstein, but energy, frequency, vibration.
Tesla.
Yeah, Tesla. But God, man, I can't spit his name out sometimes. But yeah, it's just like that. I mean, maybe everything it's true. Everything is like that. Everything that you send out. It's kind of like this professor. His name was Eric Leibhout, and he talked about a magnetic river. That of the universe, and everything is carried on those. On a magnetic wave. That just because everything that pushes. Like a frequency. Is off a vibration, everything is energy. So everything that you could pull down, for instance, is, for me, I believe is, we all have the ability. Some may have, are easier to tap in, like, what's her name from New York? She just called, but,
Daryl.
She was talking about, more or less, that I believe that we're born with it, but some people are more in tune, like she don't know why. And that's true. But like for me on the science side of it is like when we're born, where I think you have the abilities for all that stuff. Right. But soon after, you're poisoned, they start being poisoned and, programmed you. Then you go to school, get that lame education, you get dumbed down, then they start poisoning, everything they think they're telling you. For example, in your teeth, like fluoride. That stuff is a poison, and it destroys the pineal gland. And that's if anything, that's the antenna to the brain. And that's where a lot of the, that comes from a lot of, ancient Egypt, with the pineal gland, the third eye. Same thing, like I was just mentioning, Buddhism, Taoism, Hinduism. But even ancient Egypt, right? There was like, the Library Alexandria, the Library of Barshapanapal, and then, the Nag Hammadi Library, right? But in some of those, they found like the Gospel of Thomas. And I'm going to kind of go biblical on this, but some of the information that's on there, what I believe is, like I said, we're all able to. But, in ancient, in Egypt, they found, that's where the ancient, the emerald, the book of the dead, and in there it reads, the kingdom of heaven is within you, and whoever shall know it shall find it. So anybody who knows himself shall find it. And in the Gospel of Thomas, he says, these are like quotes from Jesus, and one of them was, if you bring forth what's within you, you bring forth what will save you, or whoever discovers the meaning of these sayings won't taste death. And it's almost the same thing as the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. He speaks of the same stuff, So, maybe the pineal gland is, the receptor, like I was talking earlier. But, yeah, we can... I don't know if anything about the Akashic records. I mean, like I said, I'm not trying to exclude it out, but, because there are examples like ancient aliens had where they were talking about, people have these downloads, and certain time frames too. Like they had, the examples was like people had like, invented the light bulb or, invented like different, I think it was like a generator or some shit. All right. But there were two different people that were on, different parts of the earth that had come down. They said, they talk about, mathematic wise, they didn't even really know anything. They didn't read, they wasn't really too educated. They just had these downloads, and they just started building this shit. So yeah, it's pretty interesting where, something like that can happen. But for me, I believe it's, we're born with that. Everybody's got the ability, but we're being poisoned all the way throughout our life. Even down to like the feelings in your mouth. So yeah, we all have the ability. It's just knowing how to, how to use it, or how to free ourselves to even use that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. Kind of like who was the very first call? I was talking about junk DNA, right? And I think that's part of the thing. I bring this up often on this show, but it's like we know how to be people, right? For the most part, like it's in us. We'd be, we clearly our parents teach us a lot, but there's also a lot that's kind of innate. And, I kind of use the example of like dogs. Like, you take a dog when it's like just a baby, and it's like literally it's just nursing, and you take it to a new home, and it still has within it knows how to be a dog, right? Like, and it is the most amazing thing to me, right? I took my passed away puppy now when he was just a baby, and like he had never had any experience with the other dogs. He was literally nursing like that when we took him. But he knew, like there's things that are just built into that DNA that he knew to do to be a dog, like he's a boy dog. He lifted his leg to pee, for example, right? Like, how would he know if he didn't see other dogs doing it, right? I mean, it's just like there's some weird stuff that like that's built in. Like I don't know, like how do you describe that, right? It's like the DNA is like a magical molecule or whatever, or whatever the hell you want to call it. I don't know. It's definitely magical, I think, because it does carry a lot of that knowledge in it, and it passes on, right? And that's been proven by science. It's just it's weird, man. It's weird. Like it's a weird reality we live in, that some of this stuff is, like you said, it's innate. Like it's in us when we're born, but it's accessing it becomes a problem, right? Because we just don't know how.
Yeah, it's like one of my favorite quotes from this guy named Billy Carson. I don't know if you heard him. He's an author of a few books too. He's got a new one that comes off of the Herbal Tablets of Thoth, where he talks about. I haven't ordered it yet, but that's one of my ones coming up. But his quote was, I throw it on here a couple times, but he says, I create vibrational frequencies. I create vibrational frequencies that alter future realities in the third dimension. So that's saying that you got, you're the ability, you can do it. In the Gospel of Thomas too, it even talks about where he says, one of the quotes that Jesus said is like, when you have it's just like the same thing, like with, the same teachings of Buddhism and stuff. It's opening your consciousness, just like everybody else was saying. It's a conscious thing. Yeah? And he says that if you tell the mountain to move, the mountain will move. So you could actually even move a whole mountain. So, we're not just mere mortals. I believe, that's what I'm saying from the very beginning, is that they're trying to poison us, They're trying to poison that pineal gland, especially, because that's when me and Michelle were talking, we had to, we do this thing called sun gazing, right? And it's another thing that helps the pineal gland out. Anyway, but yeah, that's a different. But yeah, that's what I believe anyway. It's not something that it's the universe is massive in different different dimensions, whatever. But I don't know, man. To me, and to have that. And the universe is vast, so something like that, it could be downloaded or even passed on. I don't know if we're getting it from somewhere else, or it's just shared knowledge again from. I don't know, that would be something nice to think about. That all that knowledge being shared. But how do we tap? I mean, like technology wise, anyway. But I don't know, man. That's a deep conversation to go down, and we don't have all that much.
Right, it's the great conversation, man. It's God willing, we have tomorrow, right? And there's a lot. It's okay. Like I think that's interestingly, like I sometimes, like I said, when I start the show, I'm like, oh shit, this is going to be bad because nobody's going to call, right? They're not going to get it. But like it was like right off the bat, like snap your fingers, and it was like call after call after call after call. So it's not about not getting it. It's about like I think when you have huge concepts like this, everybody's interested, and that warms my heart because it's kind of aiming at the philosophical mind, right? Like, what is this we really live in? Like, who are we? What makes me, and you? Those types of conversations, man. That's huge. I love it. I absolutely love it. So Akashic record wise, so we talked about that. How about for you? What about the tarot cards and that type of thing? What do you know about that?
Yeah, I was going to touch base on that one for a minute, but for tarot cards, they were, to do the actual reading, yeah, it's just like what Robert was saying, and some of them, they come with books and that tell you the meaning of it. And you can actually do, reading yourself by just going off of that. But if you're, like, for example, I'll give you this with my mother, right? When my stepfather passed away just here last year, but She went and visited somebody like that, but she didn't went in there. All she did is went in there and talked with her. And what it is that you give all your energy to the cards because the cards are clean when they represent them to you and they shuffle them. So it's your energy that you put into them because you're supposed to pull the cards. They're not supposed to pull the cards for you. You're supposed to pull the cards because that's what's drawing to you the cards that you're going to pull out. And then they're, as they flip them over, they'll, tell you the reading. But some of those are, the people that are in tune like that can do it. This lady, my mom recorded it and she let me listen to it. This lady was actually pretty good. And then, she was even told my mother that, she's actually could be able, because he was there, he said, she could feel him that he was there. And that he had a message for her. And the message, that he gave her, man, I don't know, man, that for me, that was actually, he was coming through her, and that was pretty crazy because, how did this lady even know? My mom was, didn't even know this lady, didn't even, nothing, she just,
okay, so you saw something then, and there was something real to this.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, some of these people can. But like I said, if you can do a general reading, because we have cards as well. We don't bust them out and play them. That you don't really play around with those. You just, if you got a question, and you want to ask them, yourself, and you pull them, and you could do that yourself. But as for going and getting a reading like that, some of those people that can read some of that, man. They're like, like I said, their pineal gland is probably on fire. You know what I mean? It's just like their chakras are in line or whatever you want to call it, but they're in tune and they can, I don't know if, how because again, everything's energy, frequency, and vibration. So yeah, if when we die, we go back to our energy, just like we always talked about, I believe in, is that's what people call the soul. When you just, and you pass over, that's your true self. That's you before this me too. And yeah, you do, maybe that's how energy transfer with knowledge and everything else. Because everything that they, with science, they say that everything that was with you, everything that generations before you, even they know that if there was a part of your generations, like maybe 6 generations that was really traumatic, traumatic life or something, or death or something, but that gets passed down, through the seeds, and that type of in the DNA gets passed down to you now. It's just something that's a forever thing, and that's just the cosmos. Everything is space stuff, you go back to all that, So, yeah, that's pretty interesting when, science talks, it almost confirms everything. So you just sit back and watch it when they're finding all this stuff that, the ancients has always been talking about.
Yeah, and it's not new. This stuff is totally not new. I started with the conversation with the TikTok, the TikTok tarot, right? Kind of like that. But again, the medium, right? So TikTok in particular, just like this, right? Just like the radio or the YouTube or whatever, it really doesn't diminish me. You guys still see me, you still know me. It's like me, right? But it's not like I don't think it can take away from that. I don't know. Do you think tarot could be done through TikTok? I mean, we're doing radio, we're having these big conversations through the internet. I mean, I don't know. I think that's probably, like we've talked about the internet in the past being haunted and all these other things. Is it possible to maybe do it through the internet? I would think.
I don't know. But some of those are the type of people that are probably real mediums, that they don't even need to have you. They could just, they'll leave it. All they can just ask you a question. You know what I mean? And they can just go from there. I don't know if I've never really done it online or stuff like that, but I've heard that there's some people. But again, some of that stuff is the people are trying to make some money. I'm not gonna sit there and lie and saying they're not, but again, but the true mediums, you'll know who they are. You know what I mean? Because you don't even have to say nothing. You just sit there, bring your energy in, and they'll just tell you they'll just feed right off of you. That's what it is. It's almost like they're an energy vampire, just filling, whatever you're bringing in.
Like they already know, they feel it. There's been some chatter in the chat here regarding exactly this. That like some people think it's fraudulent, and I think like always, like you say, there's people that have a talent for some things and other people that don't. And like people describing, like Hell 21 said in the chat, that if you're going to like one of these tarot readers or fortune tellers or whatever they are, to contact a recently passed away loved one, that it's kind of a disgusting thing, because most of them are going to be phonies, right? And so they're going to be kind of telling you information that is not correct at all, right? So things like that, I don't know. Like personally, I don't have any experience with it at all. I don't own a deck. I've never gone to a fortune teller, nothing like this, right? I'm not that guy. I'm not going to do it. But Jennifer has said that if it's for entertainment purposes, it's all good, right? Like even if they're good or bad at it, it's like you kind of go in and it's like paying for a haircut or going to the movies, right? I mean, I could see that. That's totally cool with me. But fibbing about like deeply personal things, I think that's where I draw the line and kind of get pissed off about this. But I don't know. I don't even know if it's real, right? I mean, that's you said it's real. I take your word for it. People have called in and said it's real. I'll take their word for it.
I don't know, man. Like I don't know. I don't think I've ever really been to one. I've seen some people, they do like the palm reading or whatever, but but for to go to see one, because like in my Hispanic side, right, they have what they call, my mom calls the brujas, So if you go see a real bruja, with these are some of these ladies, they I don't know if they that's what they call a witch, right? But they're the same thing, or they're just different words, people. But yeah, I'm telling you, man, some of these people, like, you don't even have to. But the real ones, you go to them, right? You go to them. Yeah, some of them will ask for money. Some of them even don't. They just ask for, they'll ask for donations after they're done, But those are the ones that are going to lay. I'm telling you, man, they'll lay everything right in front of you. That's what's fucking crazy.
Yeah, that's nuts. Like if you had an experience, it was a passed on loved one, and she was like kind of possibly channeling this person, right? That's the weird stuff when they do stuff that's like, oh geez. And so there's like the TV ones, right, where you go in and they take the questionnaires and all this other stuff that doesn't happen on the TV show, right? So they kind of have like a warm reading, right? So they know a little bit about you to start. So it's kind of it's kind of sketchy, right? But if it's a cold reading and they have no idea, well, shit, man. Like, okay, fine, you got me. Fine, I believe it now. I don't know. Good stuff there. But okay. So with all that said, just that stuff, like kind of fortune telling and the rest of that. Do you think that there's any connection there with the people that are good at it that can do it with the Akashic record at all, or do you think it's two totally separate things?
I don't know. That's kind of hard to say on that one. It could be both. It could be or be something kind of different, because I don't know what they're feeding off your energy, right? And you'll lay out your cards, and it's not saying that it can be. See, that's the thing about it. I don't believe that I don't believe the whole thing either. That theory of your future was already laid out in front of you. You know what I mean? That it's already been done. From my research, or from the stuff that I have researched from ancient stuff, like I was talking about, like all those ancient things I just talked about, like even emerald tablets are taught that people don't even say that they were real, but you listen to some of this stuff, man, and man, it makes more sense. And you're finding that it's you. It's, when people talk about God, it's everybody that's everything that's God, right? We're all God. It's not just a single being, an all creator, one thing. Yeah, that's what I don't believe. That's, for me, God, like I said, we're all energy. So when we all go back to, some people call it the one source or the one, or the Godhead, there's something to that effect. But for me, that's what it's just like we were talking about, when we, when they created energy, or when you die, you pass on, and that's where your energy, you're going back to your true self. So when you don't need to actually have to, and that's where, you could say you don't have to come back to, to here, to the, being reincarnated here. But that's the thing. How do you know you're coming back as a human being? You could come back as anything that's, that's why, like with Buddhism, they don't, you don't kill any insects, right? Or anything living creature. Because, that could be a loved one that would, that came back. A tree, a plant, anything like that.
Yeah, because of the reincarnation cycle. A quick happy birthday to Paul out there. What's up, buddy? Happy birthday, man. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, right? But again, kind of like, I forgot who said it. I think it was, I can't remember. Somebody was describing, Sam, I think, was describing how the Amazon forest is like kind of interconnected below through the root system. It's the same sort of thing, right? It's like you can't, like if you don't respect all living things, it's kind of like you don't respect any living things. You know what I mean? Like you can't pick and choose like that. I mean, that makes sense to me, But I don't know. It gets complicated, doesn't it?
It sure does, man. Yeah, it sure does.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know, man. So, for me, that whole Akashic record, and I don't know, man. Like, sometimes, when I meditate, I don't know where, or even when I sun gaze, too, and that's a type of meditation, too, when when I lived in California. We used to go down to the beach all the time. And you're always grounded. You got your, you take your shoes off on the sand. Well, some weirdos don't, but you take your shoes off on the sand, and then you could just, we used to go to the beach and sun gaze, right? That would help actually, the pineal gland as well. But at the same time, it's a meditation type thing. And there's times where, I don't know, I was asking questions, kind of like I wasn't really asking questions. It was just a thought. And then it was weird. I got an answer. You know what I mean? It actually happened.
It actually happened. It actually happened.
Okay, really? I'll tell you the story.
All right, let's hear. All right, Kelly. Now you've done it. Now we have to hear the story. Let's hear it, bro. Okay. You can't tease it. You got to tell it now.
All right. So when I was meditating, right, we were going to go to Vegas to go visit some family. So, I like to gamble once in a while. So I was just sitting there thinking about it, right? And I play craps. So, and once in a while I'll play roulette, right? So I was thinking of roulette, and when I was sitting there and I was meditating, I could see, this is so weird, man. I see the roulette table, and what was sitting there was an old lady, and on the opposite side of the table there was a couple. Right, and next thing you know, I overheard the lady that spun the thing. She said 9's the winner. All right.
Really? No.
I thought meditation. No, check this shit out. So we went there. We visited our family and shit. And next, we went to the things. My wife was, Michelle was kind of hesitant too. So we went up there, and I was throwing down some money, man, and trying to hit it. But finally, I was like, all right, I'm going to have my last $40. I just threw that shit down, whatever. So, and I went through 9, and sure enough. But who was at the fucking table when I pulled up? It was an old lady sitting there. She was all smile. And it looked like a couple, but, they weren't. They were just talking amongst each other. But some people are superstitious about it. Once they sit down on one chair, they like to sit in one chair, And that's what they were doing. They were sitting. But they were... they were just having a good time. And actually, man, I had the feeling. I looked up and I threw the 40 on the 9, and boom, fucking hit $700.
Did you get her card? I
don't know, man. It was just crazy because I for it too, and I just happened to walk up. I didn't really see, I was talking with the ladies, with her and her friend, and I just looked over. And boom, there it was, man. There was the old lady and the couple sitting there. I was like, you got to be kidding me. And I thought that they were playing. I thought there was, I walked up and I was like, they're not playing roulette. It's not a roulette table, because where it was kind of shaped at, it kind of, the way the lady was standing there, she kind of looked like a blackjack table or one of those snooker tables or something.
Right.
But I walked it was sure enough, man. It was a fucking roulette table.
That's funny.
It was crazy.
That's amazing,
I mean,
man.
You know, that's the only thing I've ever done I would say that ever, you know, if you're going to, you know, I didn't pull any knowledge down or anything, but that's where, you know, when I was meditating and something I was just, you know, thinking about, you know, and maybe it's not just all knowledge or everything, but maybe it's just I'm saying that, you know, your ability to know, you know?
Yeah. But well, it exists out there. I think the question is, what is it, and how come some people can do it, some people can't? And so, like, whereas the story you told is like literally an unbelievable, like chunk of chance. Well, it almost seems like synchronicity too, doesn't it? It's weird, man. It's weird.
Yeah, man. So I don't know. Maybe, and that's why another thing we try to change our diet, man, because. You know, even the toothpaste, you know, that's known to have, like, fluoride makes the body absorb more aluminum, which they're finding with Alzheimer's and shit. That shit destroys the brain, man. There's nothing in there that says it's good for your teeth. That shit eats through fucking concrete, man.
Yep.
Even a little bit. I don't care you're poisoning yourself with all this nasty shit, man.
Yeah.
This fake.
Yeah.
Got to go back. Shit.
I don't give the dog tap water. I don't. I rest where I don't. Yeah, I mean, I follow you. I follow you there. Crazy stuff, right? Like, and it all seems to be, you know, related somehow. I think that's the weird part, right? Like, I'm not willing to go down all the rabbit holes at the same time and say all this is true, but it does seem like a lot of things seem to be related when it comes to the human spirit, right? The consciousness and all these huge questions we're talking about. Pretty crazy stuff, man.
Yeah, man. With something like this question, though, it's too big to answer with even the 3-hour conversation, because, you know, it does go down different rabbit holes where, you know, some shit does connect, and you know, that's kind of interesting. You know, this is why I like when you get all these minds together, you know, all these troubled minds, and, you know, we have a conversation, which is actually why I call all the time as well. So,
yeah, and I appreciate it. And Go ahead.
I was just saying, you know, have a good evening, and I enjoy the conversation with everybody. I wish there could be a time where, you know, you could just have everybody, like, meet somewhere and, you know, have a big ass bonfire and sit back and have hours of conversations, you know.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe when we get big enough, we have a bonfire out by Boulder City down there near Vegas. There's a great dry lake bed down there for watching the stars and drinking beer and smoking your, because it's legal here now, whatever you want to smoke, and watching the stars, man. Maybe one day. I think that's a good aspiration to have. Kelly, my friend, you are the best. I appreciate you always being locked in and engaged with what we're doing. Thanks for the call. Thanks for being you, my friend.
Hey, man, no problem. And maybe we ought to talk about doing a big barbecue one together, bonfire or something. Sit in the desert and watch some. Bring some telescopes. I'll bring mine. It's a big ass one, but I'll drag it with me.
Hell yeah! That sounds like a fantastic idea. I think in the future we definitely have to look toward that. So keep bringing it up. Keep reminding me. Is it too late this summer? I don't know. We'll see. But Vegas is a good spot for it, and clearly here in Central, well, sort of Central for the Southwest. But you let me know. Keep bringing it up. We'll try and make this happen. Okay. Thanks, brother. You're
in Vegas, man. You can do it in the wintertime.
Yeah, that's true. It gets cold as hell out here in the winter. You know, Colorado, dude, It gets cold. We're 2,000 feet up, so but you could do it. Bring a jacket. You're right. It's all good.
All right, brother. You have a good night.
Thanks a lot, my man. You too. That's Kelly from Colorado. Again, very first call to Troubled Minds was Kelly way back in the day. To the best of my recollection, Kelly was the first caller, and he's still calling, right? Still calling most every night and having a great conversation about whatever the hell we're talking about. Good stuff. Thanks, guys. Think about it. This show at this point, now think about tonight. This show had almost nothing to do with me, and I think that's an unbelievably beautiful thing that we get together, start a conversation in a particular way, and we have so many amazing calls that really shape the conversation in ways I never thought it would go, right? That's really the bottom line here and how crazy it is. So thank you all. Thank you all the great calls and stuff. We're not done yet, so I'm not going to run you off because we still got Jay. We're going to go to Jay in New York. What's up, Jay? Welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
Great.
That's really the bottom line, how crazy it is. So
sorry.
Thank you all the great calls and stuff. I like hearing myself back on the thing. I sound good, bro. I sound good. What's up, Jay?
Actually, the whole show sounded unbelievable tonight, Mike.
Thank you. It had nothing to do with me. I just started it.
That's the point, dude.
Yeah.
A little nudge in the road.
Yeah.
You just need a bump, a hiccup, a whatever that'll send you down the right road.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Exactly.
Flights to Vegas are cheap right now,
I think flights to everywhere are cheap right now.
Yeah, they're giving them away. Buy two, get one free.
Yeah, totally.
Cruises too, but awesome. Awesome show today. It really was. I mean, I don't even know where I want to. I can't even think about where I want to go with.
All right. How about I'll ask you? How about this? Do you think that the Akashic record is real? That's a hell of a start.
So I'm not 100% up on that because I missed the reading material in the beginning, and my dad called. So I had a hiccup there. So I don't know what the Akashic record is.
That's okay.
First I've heard about it.
That's okay. It's basically like I can read you a definition here and just get your thought on this real quick. Let's see. Here we go. Let's do this. The Akashic record is this. In Theosophy, the Akashic records are a compendium of all universal events, thoughts, words, emotions, and intent ever to have ever occurred in the past, present, or future in terms of all entities and life forms, not just humans. So meaning that it's a sort of the knowledge of the universe exists somewhere else.
So it's not written down somewhere.
Exactly. It's not written down. It's sort of like an ethereal
inside of us.
Ethereal library. It's inside us or it's outside of us, right? Like who knows? And that's the conversation.
My personal opinion on, the parts of the show that I caught are that's inside of us,
Okay.
I'm just a carpenter, I go and I look at people's houses and I know what I have to do. And some of the times it's stuff that I've never done before. But you just take it apart carefully and watch how they did it and then you do it. These things are inside of us. Some people are this, some people are that, some people are radio hosts that do an awesome job at it, by the way. But there are things we can do, the tarot card readers and stuff like that. I can't believe you've never had a tarot card reading. You don't go to carnivals or fairs or nothing like that, man.
I do, but I'm the guy that's shooting with the BB gun, hitting the ducks or whatever. Like I'm not doing
getting
that.
a fuzzy animal for Mrs. Strange, aren't you?
Exactly. Here's why, though. Let me explain. So, I initially and generally mistrust people like that, right? Because even if it's real and all this stuff is legit,
give them the $20 and have the fun.
Yeah, no, you're right. But I'd rather have the real fun instead of
and the $20 on the BB gun and get the big fuzzy animal for Mrs. Strange
instead of the fake fun. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying it's fake. I'm just saying that in the past that's been my take on that stuff. Though Mrs. Strange has gone to mediums, right? And I think she's a little bit more like me. She's like, but her friends go, and so she's.
Well, I mean, you go to some of them. You go to the carnival out there in like Croton or something like that. They got a population of like 500. They're there for their 4-H camp fundraiser.
Right.
They got the guy out there talking to you before you go and talk to Madame Wu or whatever her name is.
I mean, look, if we're being perfectly honest, I would rather drop the $20 on a rack of ribs than have that kind of fun. You know what I'm saying? But well, anyway, I digress.
Well, I mean, but it might get a conversation started. But the thing is the people that are really doing it, helping you channel your own thoughts and stuff like that. They don't know that about you. You're projecting that at them.
Right.
The information you're giving them, the body language, the whatever.
Right.
And they're picking up on that. And whether they're going to the spirit world or the ether or whatever it is, that's something nobody will ever know unless you're the one sitting there having the girl flip the cards or the guy flip the cards and read you what's on the back of them with his interpretation, and it hits a home run or not. So if it hits a home run for you, you're going to believe it all day long, every day.
Yeah,
you know?
I think that's the thing, right? So Mrs. Strange did go, and I asked her about it, and she was like, she's like, I'm not sure I'm sold, but she's very like guarded, and I'm not allowed to talk about her on the show, so I'm gonna stop. But basically,
well, no, I'll just say she was thinking that the guy had an earpiece in, and somebody doing a Google in the back room, right?
Something. But I don't know. Like I said, just because one person might be, not good at it doesn't mean somebody else is or isn't. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. So
the same way with the radio host or the blogger or whatever.
That's how I started. That's exactly how I started and what I said. Just like there's a bad cop and a good cop, there's a good radio host, a bad one. There's a good medium and a bad one too. So
you messed up with lawyer there. You lost me at lawyer.
So you did hear me.
Yeah,
there's a such thing as a good lawyer. There's a such thing as a good lawyer. They exist. Come on, man. I think Joe Biden's a lawyer, isn't he? I think they're all lawyers.
They better be.
Anyway, good night, Penny. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for staying up late. Feel better. Happy belated birthday. I'm sorry I missed it. Thank you.
She was gone forever on her birthday. I couldn't believe she was on. It was starting to get late in New York.
Right.
By the time Penny quit.
Right.
But happy birthday, Penny.
There you go. Happy birthday, Penny. Send it out. See, there you go. Jennifer says it's usually for women. There you go. So I don't know. Like I said, I've never done it. Like I said, I'd rather just drop it on some cotton candy, a rack of ribs, maybe a nice cold beer. Oh man, Carnival beer and like a corn dog. Oh man, what am I doing here? I gotta go, guys. I'm gonna go find a carnival. No, I'm just kidding.
They're fun. We went to my kids are. I have a toddler tornado. I got them taught that they got to stand on the balls of their feet when they go up and see how tall they are.
Nice.
And they're not tall enough, So I grab them by their hand and I hold them up,
Nice.
I'll hang on to them. It'll be all right. And the guy's like, get on there, Not to get anybody in trouble, I won't tell you which ones I went to.
All right, it's all good.
They let the peanuts ride on the big people rides.
Right, nice.
And they love it. Nice. Daredevils. They really are.
Hell yeah. Billy says, what if Mike goes to a tarot reader and they say he just lost a rack of ribs? I'd be a believer. I'd be like, damn it, you're right. That's exactly what was on my mind. And I'd tip him. I'd lose
sold out. The rib guy sold out.
Yeah. I don't know. So you've been to these whatever you call them?
I've been to really good ones and I've been to really bad ones. You know what I mean?
Okay. So with that said, what's your consensus? Do you think it's real? Or do you think it's phony?
No, there's real ones out there. They hit home runs. Really, they do. There's real ones out there. There's ones out there that just want to, kick your $10 at the fair.
Gotcha.
But they I don't know if they draw it off of you and just tell it back to you because you didn't want to hear it and you just needed somebody else to say it to you. There's somebody put in the chat on how they like touch you. They like feel your hands and shake your hands and all of these are calloused hands. It must be a working person.
You're right. I mean, there's like if you're perceptive, you can pick up on some things, right? Like, but
they're also perceptive of you being perceptive.
Right. Exactly.
That means they have to work harder.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. I don't know. Like I'm saying, I've never done it. I don't know, but it's. I don't know. So, okay. So you said there's some good ones. So do you think the good ones have a supernatural power and can maybe touch into this Akashic record, or do you think it's something else entirely?
That would put me into like thinking about demons and everything else like that, just because that's the way I was brought up, Yeah. So
my
indoctrination to the planet.
Interestingly, if you didn't catch the beginning, Jennifer called in and kind of described something similar that it seems like to get in touch with the Akashic record, you need a intermedium type of thing, like an entity that will access it for you. So there you go. So maybe that, right? Maybe we're talking about. And
I think it's in you, Mike. I really think it's in you because I've been doing it forever. There's stuff that. How'd you figure that out? I don't know. I looked at it. I figured it out. You know, that's what I get paid to do. I go fix problems that nobody else can figure out.
Just fix the problems. Back to the the round windows. Back to the round windows.
They're done and paid for.
Oh yeah, round windows
yeah.
paid for.
I lost my ass.
Don't get round windows, guys. Round windows are not good. They're expensive to fix. Just FYI. All right, so I don't know. So maybe, right? So you think there are people that can kind of tap into this and maybe be
absolutely.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, absolutely. There's people that can, I don't know if they're going into a spirit realm or anything else like that, but I know there's a way that they can connect with the person that they're talking to.
Okay.
That deeply that they can know that stuff. I don't know, I don't want to say the demons or anything else like that because I went to a Church of God when I was a little kid and it freaked me out. But I just would say that, yeah, there's people that have the ability to interconnect and talk to people that way, that bring it out of yourself. That's in you. It goes back to what Matt was saying with the Library of Alexandria. It's it burnt down. That was tragic and horrible and everything else like that. But all that knowledge is in you. And it's in us. We know it. A dog will be a dog.
Yeah, yes.
He just knows how to, instinctive almost, I guess we would call it.
They just know. And so like this instinctive is baked in. Yeah, crazy stuff. I don't know. I don't know what to believe about it other than, it's a good conversation, that's for sure. And it is, right? So even people that are out there that believe in this stuff aren't necessarily like sold on all of this stuff, right? I think that's a good thing. I think the discerning mind is probably the best mind. You don't want to be fooled, right? But it's okay to believe a little bit. It's okay to kind of let go of this, meat suit reality for a second. Those things are okay. Those things are okay, and that's part of the conversation here. Do you have a quote for us, my friend?
Sure, I do. Actually, today I want to try to give you two because
sure,
I was bouncing around with all of it.
Sure. So go ahead, do the first one, and then we'll start the music, and then you can do the second one.
So when we were talking or something like that, I typed in because I was trying to get to the Discord link to like up on the chats and everything else like that. And it came up the definition of discord, which is a disagreement between people. And I thought, okay, that's kind of odd. But the sentence underneath of it is a proprietress family who shows no sign of discord. And I think that's what our discord is. Because we get in there and we talk, we don't argue and stuff like that. We share really awesome information. And anything and everything you want to talk about is smart across the board. And it's awesome what you've done, Mike. It really is. With getting intelligent people together to have an intelligent conversation. And that's great. And then the other one is one of the things that you posted. The guy's name was Alan. I can't really remember what his last name was because it didn't end up in the screenshot. But you posted an article, and the guy that was talking with the interview and everything else like that, his name was Alan. I don't know. You have to give his last name so you don't get a copyright infringement for what I'm going to read.
You're good. I think you're safe. I think we're safe.
So anyway, I'm reading down through his article and everything else like that, and I see that in the first comment in the comment section is huge compared to all the other ones. And it says, Andrew, thank you for all that you do. This is very helpful and needed. I am now in awe and really feel hopeful about what we are all doing here at this moment. and it's by Susan. No last name or anything else like that. It was just one of the comments and the end of the article.
Nice.
It was posted on the Discord.
Really?
It's just, yeah.
Nice.
Well, you know how when you post your articles up in the middle of the YouTube stream, they pop into the Discord.
Yeah.
Well, you know, some people read them.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. At least it's
just so you, I love the details, Mike. I really do. I love the details. I love the fact that I'm not full of shit, man. This is where I got my bullshit from.
Exactly. Go check the link. If it's bullshit, it's fine, but it's not mine. We're
call me out. You can come back and say, "Hey, man, I went and looked into this one. That's bullshit, dude."
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Agreed. I don't know. I think we have the I don't know. Like I said, it's good. It's good to kind of let the mind wander. It's okay. Like these things are okay. As you see, like I got the stars in the back, right? I think probably like this blue starscape in the back here is probably one of the most beautiful things I've ever put up on here. Like I put it up and it was just kind of breathtaking. Like tonight with the blue and I can't
see it. I did see the star thing, but I don't see it now. I shut it off because it was so loud.
Just imagine traveling through the cosmos, man. Like. It's unbelievable, but yeah. So I digress. But let's play some music and let's do the final quote. So tomorrow, as you guys know, we do this 4 nights a week now: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 p.m. Pacific. I'm working on some other things that are going to go on the podcast feed. So if you love this show and you love this type of content, and you love the conversations, and you love what's happening here, spread the word. Please help us out. The thing is, right? Old school word of mouth matters, and it still works, and I'm sure you know people like yourself that are open to a non-denominational, non-judgmental type of conversation. So spread the word. Appreciate that a lot, and let's do it. Let's play some music and get this rocking. Let's do it, Jay. You're up, buddy.
So I'm going to give one that Monochrome kind of hooked me up for the outro when we were looking at the meteors and everything coming in for AT or whatever.
AT?
AT.
We survived it, guys.
This video from the space station's external high definition camera, EHDC, has been interrupted due to loss of signal between the station and the communications network, or it is being used for station operational purposes. All the crap was going on over Washington, D.C., and the big meteors were coming in and everything else like that, and the International Space Station shooting the pictures from the stars just so happened to be off online during that time. Just putting that out there, Mike.
All right. I like putting it out there. I like it. Great comment from Sean here on Facebook. He's always dropping some amazing stuff. Look at this. He says, Mike Strange, Troubled Minds Radio. Bringing in good vibes worldwide. Uniting humanity. One show at a time. Super great show tonight. The Akashic Records is authentic. So much great energy here. And again, I'm not going to say he's wrong. But what I am going to say is this isn't all about me. Think about all the amazing people that are involved in this. All the great people that call in on a nightly basis. All the amazing people in chat. Think about it. Think about it, right? Like I said, you can crowdsource amazing, and I think we found a way to do it. So I'm honored and blessed that you guys are here with me and spending so much time, and thank you for the amazing comments, all the amazing calls. Thanks, Jay, for the amazing outro quotes. You guys are the best. Thanks, Sam, for the call. I see you there on Facebook. Thank you. I enjoyed the talk. I enjoyed the first-time caller. You guys are great. Thank you so much. There you go. That's what we're going to do. We're going to keep talking about this. Like I said, look it up. It's called The Great Conversation. And it's about more than one thing, and it's a continuous conversation. And it's been in my mind all along, to be perfectly honest. I just never really found a place to connect with like-minded people. So I decided one day, with a friend of mine named Frank, let's make it. Here we are. Here we are. Thanks again, Jay. I appreciate it, my friend. Thanks, everybody, for all the great calls, all the great chat. Thanks for not hating on each other and disagreeing to the point of vitriol. It's not okay. It's not okay. We can disagree and still love each other. It's part of being human the right way. So let's continue being humans the right way and Take care of yourself so you can take care of others. Thanks a lot. You guys are the best. Anything else, Jay?
Just, it's nice that you don't even need moderators in your chat, really, Mike.
Yeah.
That has to show what you're doing for your show, you know? There's no haters.
Well,
you know?
I think you may have jinxed us because we have a hater now and then, but you're right for the most part. All right,
you know, how can you hate Mike?
Well, yeah. Thanks, Jay. Thanks, guys. We're out. From our troubled minds to yours, thank you for listening. God willing, we'll see you tomorrow night. Have a great night, guys.